All right. Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Andrew. This is Rocket Future. Good morning if you're here in the United States. Here in Central Time at least, it's just before 9 a.m. And we have an exciting update on a NASA and JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory mission today. And we're going to be watching live coverage of the sample return portion of the OSIRIS-REx mission. A mission that I think probably has the coolest name out of any JPL mission in history. But if you disagree, let me know what you think might be the best. Pretty low-key and casual this morning. We're probably just going to kind of hang out here. I'll provide some commentary as we watch the coverage from NASA. The NASA coverage starts in just about 3 minutes. But let's get you started with the trailer here from NASA. Welcome everybody. Welcome Andres. Welcome T Evans NC. Good to see you. Thank you for being a member. Welcome Solt, and welcome everybody into the channel this morning. At some point here, when NASA is doing their introduction, I'll probably grab myself, I don't know, some coffee or something, and we'll get this thing kicked off. Actually, before we watch the trailer, let's just quickly take an overlook. So this is NASA's website, of course. And who's going to better explain OSIRIS-REx than NASA? So I'll just quickly read this excerpt, short excerpt right here about the mission. I knew all about this mission back in the day. I was paying real close attention to this one, but I forgot all the fun little details about this mission after just consuming my brain with Starbase for the last couple of years. So let me just read this. NASA's OSIRIS-REx, the first U.S. mission to collect a sample from an asteroid, will return to Earth on September 24th, 2023, that's today, with material from asteroid Bennu. When it arrives, also my pronunciation of Bennu, I'm curious how they say it on stream. It's one of those words I've seen a million times and never actually heard pronounced out loud. When it arrives, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft will release the sample capsule for a safe landing in the Utah desert. The pristine material from Bennu, rocks and dust collected from the asteroid surface in 2020, will offer generations of scientists a window into time when the sun and planets were forming about 4.5 million years ago. Super, super cool mission. Really excited that everything has gone to plan so far. We're going to keep an eye out here on NASA's official OSIRIS-REx Twitter account. Or I guess that one's no longer active, the NASA Solar System website, Twitter, to see if they are posting any updates. But so far, let's see. 2 minutes ago, the recovery team has just departed via helicopters and trucks. They'll wait on the edge of the landing ellipse so that they will be ready to retrieve the sample once it lands to Earth. Pics from August's rehearsal to Bennu and back. So that's an update from 2 minutes ago from NASA that the recovery team is preparing for the recovery. Welcome, Dave Roberts. Good to see you. Hi, Dave. Good morning. Let's check in to see if NASA's stream has started yet. In the meantime, actually, let's watch this trailer. Oh, it's starting. No trailer for us. So yeah, they'll have plenty of commentary here, and I'm sure I will be injecting my comments and stuff in as well. But have y'all been following this mission at all? Is this something that's been on your radar? I think it is very, very cool. It's kind of a good reminder that not only do we cover Starbase and Starship content here on Rocket Future, but we try to cover as many events as possible. Let's listen in.
Training range. In less than an hour, a 4.5 billion-year-old piece of the ancient solar system will be landing here in the desert. This is live coverage of NASA's OSIRIS-REx sample return.
Their stream is kind of quiet.
There's been nothing like OSIRIS-REx in NASA's repertoire. I like to call it the Daredevil spacecraft.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of OSIRIS-REx, its 7-year mission to boldly go to the asteroid Bennu and back.
Yeah, so it launched in 2016, September 8th, 2016, which is kind of crazy to think about.
And thank you for joining us live from the Army's Dugway Proving Ground in Dugway, Utah. This is special coverage of America's first asteroid sample return mission, OSIRIS-REx, as it arrives back to Earth after more than 7 years traveling in deep space. I'm Lauren Ward, and joining me...
Their stream's pretty quiet, but can you all hear it okay?
NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. He's a planetary geologist by training and also probably one of the most excited people around here today.
Lauren, literally, I'm over the asteroid.
Better than over the moon, over the asteroid. Well, I'm excited to share the stage with you today. We've got a lot to discuss and a huge adventure straight ahead. And for those joining at home, Jim and I will be taking your questions live throughout the show. You can send those our way by using the hashtag AskNASA on X, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you want to follow along this final ride of the mission at home,
That audio issues on their side, I think.
check out NASA's Eyes on the Solar System, where you can view a complete 3D simulation and follow the OSIRIS-REx sample return capsule to the ground. And during the broadcast, you'll hear directly from the mission team, so listen very closely for those operational callouts. Before we get into the action, though, tell me, Jim, what are you most excited about?
Lauren, it's the masterpiece of engineering we have here. Just think about this. In 50 years, we've gone from bringing things on the moon back with crews to all robotic sample return for science that's literally beyond words. It's sublime. So we can't wait to see what we're going to learn.
We cannot wait. So OSIRIS-REx is an acronym for Origins, Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification, and Security Regolith Explorer.
I think somebody needs to get her a new mic. It's a little scratchy.
Grab a sample, then bring it back to Earth for analysis. Following launch on September 8th, 2016, the plucky probe took an extraordinary route through the solar system until it reached the asteroid Bennu. Then, after more than a year of mapping the surface in exquisite detail, OSIRIS-REx made a careful descent in October 2020 to collect a sample. 3 years later, we are here at Dugway Proving Ground in the deserts of northeast Utah, awaiting that capsule containing the sample, which experts tell us is essentially a time capsule of the ancient solar system. We've got a great team joining us this morning as we experience this thrilling conclusion of this grand adventure.
Looks like we got live coverage on the top left with probably near the recovery area.
We'll also hear from James Traley, who will be tracking mission operations and bringing us real-time updates, essentially our eyes and ears inside mission control, which sounds to me like a good place to jump into the story. James, good morning. How are we looking?
Yeah, good morning, Lauren and Jim. It's already been a very bright early morning for all of our team members involved in this mission. Just a little bit further north from us, about 4 hours ago in Waterton, Colorado, the team met to assess the readiness to release the SRC from the main OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. And I'm very happy to report that they gave the green light, they gave the go command officially to release the SRC from the OSIRIS-REx. Let's listen in on what that command sounded like.
It's pretty crazy. Imagine launching a rocket to go get a sample from an asteroid and knowing that it would take 2016 to 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5, 6, 7 years for your mission to go out there, get the sample, and then come back in return. I know there's been a lot of missions that have taken longer than that to do what they need to do, but it's just kind of crazy to think about. 7 years later, they watched their probe take off, and now it's coming back with a sample, all autonomous, not autonomous, but controlled remotely and partially autonomous, I'm sure. That's just the most bizarre thing. I can't imagine working on a project like that.
From here to head out to Wig, just at the edge of the landing ellipse. Our high-altitude plane is up in the sky, ready to take images in the infrared of our SRC, and we are here ready to go to cover all of today's mission events. I'm going to be right here with you all throughout the process as we get closer to that entry, descent, and landing. But for now, back to you, Lauren and Jim.
All right, thanks, James. We'll be back to you for mission status updates throughout the morning. For now, let's give you a quick geography lesson on where we are today. We are sitting about 85 miles southwest of Salt Lake City in the heart of the Dugway Proving Ground, a historic Army facility. In less than an hour, the sample will touch down in our landing ellipse at the Utah Test and Training Range, managed by the Air Force, about 13 miles north of where we're speaking right now.
So one thing we'll keep an eye on out, and hopefully they show us exactly where it lands in comparison to that ellipse. It's always cool to see how accurate those landing estimations, I guess they're not really estimations as they're like actively trying to land in the ellipse. So we'll see how close they can actually get into the ellipse, but generally they nail it, which is really impressive, especially where like it looked like Grand Salt Lake wasn't that far. Granted, it's far, but it's interesting.
And sensors, but it's bringing a physical sample of the ancient solar system back to Earth for detailed analysis. Mission planners selected a small asteroid called Bennu as their destination. Following a successful touch-and-go procedure to grab a sample on October 20th, 2020.
Yeah, so check this out. This is how it got its sample. It literally just bounced off. The probe didn't land on Bennu, nothing like that. It just has this foot that was underneath it, and it just bounced off. And the disruption that the foot causes allows there to have some of the potential sample rise up off the asteroid, and then it whatever it captures in that foot is pretty crazy.
Bringing the capsule back home. And we'll even hear from the cast of the film Asteroid City. And of course, we'll give you a front row seat to the mission itself. The science, the engineering, and why a mission to gather space rocks, well, rocks.
Right.
NASA's first asteroid sample return happens in less than 35 minutes. Let's now take you to Wig Mountain, where our field reporter, Sophia Roberts, is standing at the forward edge of the vast landing zone, where she joins us live now. Sophia, paint us a picture.
Lauren and Jim. Now, it is a bright and chilly morning, but the excitement certainly is rising. Now, let me give you a lay of the land of what is going to happen today. The sample return capsule is going to hit the top of the atmosphere at approximately 8:40. It will descend through our atmosphere for 13 minutes before touchdown. Once it does touch down, our team with the recovery team will go to the sample or the capsule and start that carefully rehearsed recovery process. Now, I am on the edge of the landing zone that we call the ellipse. It is a huge landing zone that is larger than the size of Rhode Island. And behind me are the helicopters that will be taking those recovery teams to the capsule once it lands. Now, these teams are prepped and ready to go. We're just waiting for that capsule to arrive.
So 8:40.
Back to you, Lauren.
Wow, Sophia, I
Wait,
think
did you say 8:40?
the best seat.
Oh, my God.
8:40 Utah. So that's what mountain? Utah time. Yeah, it's 8:09 right now. So it's about half hour out. Let me see if I can get a timer going on our stream here. Give me a second.
Did not, and I'm afraid of those cows.
Let's stay away from the cows. With its solar arrays extended, the spacecraft is about 40 feet long, or the size of a short school bus. The solar arrays can power up to 3,000 watts, which is the same as a portable generator. Once on Bennu, the 11-foot robotic arm collected dust and pebble samples, while the cameras got up-close images of the asteroid. How about that? And then, of course, there's the SRC, or the Sample Return Capsule. The capsule that's separated from the main vehicle and is currently on its way to our landing zone in the Utah desert. So, Jim, I think importantly, the team can't just open up the capsule right on the desert floor, right? What happens next?
So next, we have to safe it, we have to bag it, we have to contain it, and transport it to the clean room about a mile from here. And in that clean room...
Welcome into the stream, Detroit Mission Control, and welcome in anybody who has just trickled in the last few minutes. We are hanging out here. I'm trying to get a countdown on the stream, so I'm working on that a little bit. But we're watching the sample return from the OSIRIS-REx mission, which is awesome. This little probe went out to Asteroid Bennu, captured a sample of it, and it's now on its way back, and it's going to land here shortly, and that's actually insane. So that's great. So we are standing by for that.
We've got a great mission overview to help explain. Take a look.
And yeah, the lady on the left here has an issue with her mic. I'm surprised they haven't replaced it yet, but maybe they'll do that now. Yeah, here's a look at the launch of the probe. It was on an Atlas V rocket. That's CGI, I believe. Yeah, CGI of the sample return portion. That's actual footage of the asteroid, I believe. Welcome. Oh, thank you so much for that gifted membership, T. Evans NC. Appreciate you very much. And Ryan got the membership again. That's great.
Surface, excavating 6 tons of debris while collecting about
so yeah, I have
250
this
grams
timer
of
now.
material.
Let's see if we can
OSIRIS-REx stowed its bounty
get
and
this
closed
onto
its
the
sample
stream
return
here.
capsule. It bid farewell to Bennu in May
new
2021, embarking on a 1.2 billion
browser
mile cruise back to Earth.
countdown.
Now,
I'm not sure why their
2
stream is
years
buffering.
and
but
4
I'll
months
check
after
into that.
leaving Bennu, OSIRIS-REx is closing in on the place where its journey began. On September 24th, the spacecraft will approach to nearly 63,000 miles from Earth. It will power up and release its sample return capsule at 4:42 a.m. Mountain Time. The capsule must be jettisoned within a narrow time frame and at just the right angle to hit its target, an area of roughly 250 square miles in Utah's West Desert. Once the capsule is away, OSIRIS-REx will fire its thrusters to avoid colliding with Earth. At 8:42 a.m., the capsule will streak into the atmosphere at a blistering 27,000 miles per hour. It will race across the western U.S. and begin to glow with heat, allowing infrared trackers on the ground to chart its progress. As it pushes deeper into the atmosphere,
all right, we have
the
about
capsule
29
will rapidly
minutes.
decelerate, subjecting the Bennu
That's
samples
actually a
to
little
a
off,
punishing
but
32
give or take a
Gs.
minute.
About 2 minutes after entry, it will
But yeah, this video is describing
parachute, stabilizing its
the actual process of re-entry and recovery, which is pretty awesome.
At 8:46 a.m., almost 10 miles above the Department of Defense Utah Test and Training Range. Radar stations will lock on and track it to within 30 feet of its landing site. At 8:50 a.m., the capsule will extract and deploy its main parachute 1 mile above the ground. It will make its final descent at a leisurely 11 miles per hour, like a marathon runner savoring a victory lap, before touching down in the desert soil at 8:55.
Wow, I get chills every time I see that.
Me too.
Amazing. All right, so we know you have questions, so please continue to send them to us using the hashtag AskNASA. But before we go any further, I've got a question for you, Jim. Why is the mission called OSIRIS-REx? It sounds like a new hybrid kind of dinosaur or something.
It does, but it's actually the name of an Egyptian deity, a bird deity, but it means all the stuff the mission's going to be doing. So we're going to be searching for clues to the origins of our solar system chemically, looking at how we can ground truth all the data we have for asteroids from Earth, other spacecraft right up close with samples. We're going to look at the resource potential of asteroids, metals, hydrated water as in hydrated minerals, and also consider security of our planet from these kinds of objects. It's a big name with a big mission with many things it has to do. It's multiple missions in one.
Yeah, 3 missions in one, in fact. We know we have a global audience for this event, and throughout the morning, we'll be taking questions submitted via social media. So let's take one now. All right, what do we have? At S4Mule _B asks, what's the significance of studying asteroids like Bennu for advancements in planetary science?
These are literally the time capsules of the early solar system with those bits and fragments we can never get here. So we go and bring them home to connect ourselves to the place we live, our solar system. So that's one of the big takeaways of this. We will read the clues of Mother Nature on how our world works in the context of all the rest of the planetary system.
Fantastic. All right,
There we go.
let's take
That's more
another
accurate
question.
now.
What do we have? All right, from at Endanger817. Approximately how large is the sample size, and what kind of analysis will be performed?
So it's about 8 or 9 ounces. It's about a size of a baseball and a half, and the kind of analyses are amazing. There are toolkits and instruments that can look at nanoscale characteristics that you wouldn't imagine. We could see the hairs on a foot of an ant, but we'll look at those in the context of another object in the solar system. So, wow.
Wow, indeed. All right, we'll be taking some more questions throughout.
I'm curious what the options are for the makeup. I would love to see NASA publish their best guess at the makeup of this sample. like which percentage of this is what metals, which percentage of this is what elements, and then compare that to what they actually find. I'm sure if we searched, we could probably try to figure that out. I'd be really curious how close our guess gets to it, and it's going to be exciting to see what this thing's really made up out of.
What's going to happen is that once the capsule is undershoot, we'll have a better idea of where it's going to land on the range. And based on that, I'll know exactly what kind of weapon systems we used in that area, what kind of tests we've done in that area. So I'll know better what kind of hazards are in the area. Once I land on the ground, I'll do an initial sweep of the area and methodically move towards the capsule and mark any kind of hazards that I find, whether it be munition hazards, of course, and or the industrial hazards, and even the environmentally sensitive areas that we have out here. So
that's a unique challenge with this sample return mission. Maybe it's not it's not unique to this this mission, but that's something I haven't really considered that much. Is if you're landing in these military testing areas, you have to consider what kind of risks there are just to the nature of landing in this type of site. So that's really interesting to hear him acknowledge that and talk about that on the NASA stream. I feel like I wouldn't have really expected to hear much detail about that, but that's pretty dang cool.
With our terrain here, as well. Yeah, so.
And this is an active proving ground here. So what are the other steps that we have to ensure that our teams are safe?
Yeah, so at the Utah Test and Training Range, we do have a lot of different hazards out here. Like I said, the weapon systems that we test. We're going to keep them safe from that. We have, again, done many of the preparations with them already. They've taken safety briefings. They've been briefed on the actual items that we've dropped out here in their range safety brief.
Our countdown here, I think, is for when OSIRIS-REx hits the top of the atmosphere, which obviously landing time would make sense as well. But I don't know. The countdown is when the real action starts. So we'll start to hear a lot about all of that process that the capsule has to go through to actually successfully get to the ground, starting in about 20 minutes and 45 seconds. Detroit Mission Control says, hopefully it doesn't land on an unexploded ordnance. I was thinking the exact same thing. Imagine if something like that had happened. How unlucky. Oh my goodness, that would be insane.
Talks of life all over the world. One
All right,
super fan in particular is a...
So, like I said, it's morning. It's morning here. It might be morning where you're at too. We're having just a kind of casual and chill stream as we watch this groundbreaking and historic mission together. That being said, I am gonna make a coffee so I can truly enjoy and sit back and relax. So just I'll still be on. Actually, yeah, I'll have my mic. I'll have my mic on so I can pop back onto commentary if I hear something interesting that I want to talk about. Welcome, R3 Ventlove. Welcome to today's stream. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, I will leave you with audio of NASA's stream here while I make up a quick batch of coffee and then we'll get the party started.
With whom we already created this beautiful book. God bless you all.
Speaking of rock stars, joining us is NASA's Lori Glaze, Planetary Science Mission Director. Welcome, Lori.
Oh right, I forgot. I forgot I wasn't using.
Great to have you.
I thought I was using the headset microphone. I forgot that I'm using this little mic. So I was muting this and I was like, why isn't it working? Hopper House was fun. It was a good trivia night Thursday at Hopper House. If anybody's in town, make sure you stop into Hopper on Thursday for trivia. It was a lot of fun, and maybe I'll do that again this week. But yeah, I'll be right back.
Right on the heels of the sample return happening today, in 2 days, on September 26th, is the one-year anniversary of a little mission you may have heard of last year called the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, demonstrated for the first time humanity's ability to deflect the path of an asteroid. How cool is that? And then coming up on October 5th, is the launch of a mission called Psyche, going to visit a special asteroid called Psyche also, which is one of only about 9 of asteroids that we think are made primarily of metal, have a very high metal content, iron and nickel. And then about a month after that, on November 1st, is going to be the first asteroid flyby of our mission called Lucy, which will ultimately visit Trojan asteroids that lead and trail Jupiter in its orbit around the sun. But in November, we'll fly by a main belt asteroid called Dinkinesh.
Okay.
Wow, check
I got
that
the.
It literally is an asteroid. But Lori, one other thing, OSIRIS-REx, is a multi-purpose mission, all this great stuff you mentioned, and one of its key jobs is to help us with planetary defense. How does it do that? Way out there.
Dave Roberts says, Brian May, absolute legend.
Really important new information about an effect, a force that occurs on asteroids called the Yarkovsky effect. And what that really is we know there's gravitational pulls on the asteroids, and we can predict that with our trajectories, but Yarkovsky effect says that the sun's radiation heats up one side of the asteroid, and then as the asteroid rotates, the radiation radiates off into the deep space. And that actually kind of acts as a force that kind of pushes back against the forward trajectory. And so it changes our predictions on where the asteroid might be. Over time, it really makes a difference.
We'll get right back to their commentary, but I wanted to show you this real quick. September 22nd, NASA posted on the OSIRIS-REx website, new U.S. postage stamp commemorates NASA's asteroid sample delivery. I haven't had to buy stamps in ages, but the last time I bought stamps was when they had the 2017 total solar eclipse stamps. So I still have those around. Now I kind of want to find these. I wonder, a pane of the commemorative stamps released by the Postal Service. I wonder if these are still available. It would be pretty cool to have some OSIRIS-REx stamps. Don't people like stamp collect? Isn't that like a thing?
This will be the biggest U.S. sample return since the Apollo mission to the moon. But this is not the first time that anyone has captured a piece of an asteroid. On the arrival of the historic OSIRIS-REx sample, we celebrate that the Japanese Space Agency, or JAXA, has already visited 2 asteroids, Itokawa in 2005 and the asteroid Ryugu in 2019. The missions Hayabusa and Hayabusa 2 proved that it could be done and paved the way for today's ambitious goals of this daring enterprise. All right, let's send it back over to James for an update on mission operations. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. So everything continues to be nominal. I've been tracking the mission status here. Everyone looks dialed in, ready to go. You saw a few moments ago Sophia with Stu Wiley, our on-scene commander. He's ready to go. He understands the mission. They are ready to get out and recover that sample today. And as I mentioned earlier, just a few moments ago, actually I guess a couple hours ago at this point now, the SRC was released from the main OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. When that release took place, it was given an initial spin, which kind of preserves its angular momentum, its speed as it's coming in to Earth's atmosphere. It's similar to throwing a perfect spiral on a football, and teams are hoping for that perfect touchdown today. What you're about to see is basically the equivalent of throwing a touchdown pass over 10 football fields away and landing it perfectly in that end zone.
RMD says that was really James May. Don't let them fool you. Oh man, James May. I would watch a NASA broadcast with James May as a co-host. I think that would be entertaining as heck.
Absolutely thrilled for this moment. They might even see themselves on the screen there in a second, but they are hype and ready to go. This is the Lockheed Martin team just a little bit north of us in Waterton, Colorado. They are also dialed in. They're the ones who gave that initial command this morning to release the SRC from the main OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. You just heard from Lori that OSIRIS-REx is now on its way to its extended mission. OSIRIS Apex visiting that near-Earth asteroid Apophis. A lot coming up.
Speaking of RMD, I want to say shout out and thank you to RMD for getting me this awesome mouse pad, desk pad, and I've been using it. You know what? I think I'm going to use it out here rather than at my other setup. So this is a pretty awesome mouse desk pad that RMD sent to me. So thank you for that.
Artemis 3 will be the first sample return mission of NASA's Artemis program.
Oh, we're talking about Artemis now. My coffee thing is almost ready, so I'm gonna go grab that.
South Pole. the Apollo lunar landers returned a treasure chest of samples that taught us about the history of the solar system, dating back about 4 billion years ago. Artemis missions will explore areas near the South Pole on the rim of the moon's oldest basin, the enormous South Pole Aitken Basin. Artemis will explore areas nearly 1 billion years older than those explored by Apollo. Lunar samples from Artemis 3 and future missions will help scientists interpret the impact history of the moon and Earth, as well as increase our understanding of planetary processes.
Boiling water set my
OSIRIS-REx,
smoke alarm off.
the first U.S. mission to collect a sample from an asteroid, will return samples from asteroid Bennu. The rocks and dust collected will offer generations of scientists a window into a time when the sun and planets were forming over 4.5 billion years ago. Samples from OSIRIS-REx and Artemis could rewrite our understanding of the evolution of the solar system. And that's a look at your Artemis Moon Minute. Boy, Jim, how can you not get excited about that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy, that's going to be so cool. All right, Sophia is standing at the forward edge of the recovery zone with an update. Take it away, Sophia.
All right, thank you, Lauren. We are under 20 minutes away from EDL. That is entry, descent, and landing. And I don't think there's anyone here on planet Earth who has anticipated this day more than the principal investigator of the mission, Dante.
They said 12 or 20.
Thank you for giving us time here today.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
All right, so you are here on Wig Mountain because you are on the recovery team.
That's right.
Can you walk us through what you're going to be doing today?
So I'm part of the environmental sampling group. From day one, this mission has paid attention to keeping that sample pristine. And we're going to come down. We had some rain on Thursday. Most likely we're going to be encountering mud out there. We're also interested in the air quality and any water that might be standing, just so in the very rare event that any of that material somehow comes into contact with the sample, we have a record of it and it won't compromise our science.
Ah, wonderful. And I think one of the really exciting things about a mission like this, especially with you...
I'm making pour over, so it's a whole process. It's taken a few minutes. RMD says, rock on. Heck yeah. Thanks again, buddy. Detroit Mission Control said 20. I don't know how... What happened to my timer? How did it get so desynced? I guess, I don't know. I could fix that here when we hear about our next update to make sure that it's accurate. Coffee pot releasing the nasty blue smoke. I know, right? It was just I don't know what metal it is, but it's just a light metal coffee pot. That's so interesting. Don't smoke alarms also include heat sensors? Yeah, but it's not really anywhere near it. I have a feeling it was just, I don't usually use the back left burner, but I did today just because, I don't know, but just did. And I think it probably hasn't been used in a while, and I don't know, but very interesting. Denny's, welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck out there today.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Lauren.
Great, thanks, Sophia. Wow, I can't wait for Dante to get his moment in the sun.
Goes Dante.
That is amazing. All right, so Jim, the whole OSIRIS-REx spacecraft is not coming back today, right? It's just a part of it.
That's right. This is the whole spacecraft, 40 feet long, the size of a school bus. But this special little thing here, the sample return capsule, is bringing home the goodies. And that's what we've just released, and it will be entering the atmosphere, and you'll be hearing all about it. And the samples were collected at the asteroid back in October 2020 from this TAGSAM thing that inserted them in the capsule, and the capsule was released. So that's what comes home. The rest of this goes on to Apophis.
That's right. We just heard Lori talk about that. But let's move over and take a look at this this replica SRC capsule. Now, this was an engineering model that was used in tests a few weeks ago for a drop test. Can you talk a little bit about the engineering?
Coffee's almost ready. Isn't that crazy, though, that not only is OSIRIS-REx returning the sample to Earth, but it's going on to do something else now? That is just absolutely insane. The technology and engineering on these projects. Can we just give a round of applause to JPL just for everything they do? They are actually insane. It's amazing.
All those changes in environment from the top of the atmosphere, 13 minutes of descent, to the touchdown point that we're waiting for today. This is a very special spacecraft.
It absolutely is. And it also was used in a drop test, as I mentioned. Let's take a look at some of that footage now.
Right. So just a couple weeks ago, we dropped this replica, this engineering test unit, from 5,000 feet with a parachute deployment and went through all the operations, the choreography we need to actually make sure we can do it today. And that's what's going to be coming up. And it worked wonderfully. We inflated the big 24-foot parachute. It floated down to the surface at 11 miles an hour. We went through all the recovery operations, the safing, the bagging, and the containment to come over to the clean room here, where we'll be doing that today to make sure those samples are from Bennu, so we can study them here on Earth and not contaminated by our wonderful Earth.
That's right, and you know it's the
There's
actual
the
SRC that they use because it is covered in dirt, as you can see
Right.
on here.
This is dirt, scratch marks.
All the scratch marks, yeah.
It's a rough ride,
the real
but,
deal.
but we need it to come home. This
Absolutely.
is a real sort of homecoming.
Right. So there's a lot of science in missions like this. Not only is the SRC a treasure chest with material from the ancient solar system, but the mission itself is a platform for vital research about a range of things that you might not have expected.
Detroit also loves JPL. How could you not?
Firefly's mission is to collect visual,
How could you
infrared,
not?
and spectral data on spaceflight vehicles, including the OSIRIS-REx sample return capsule on its return to Earth. This gives engineers and scientists unique insight into our most challenging questions about hypersonic fluid dynamics by providing data critical to flight safety systems. The scientifically calibrated in-flight imagery team uses ground-based sensors and instruments flying on various aircraft to image asteroid sample returns, launch abort systems, parachute tests.
So while they're chatting a little bit about this stuff, I could just provide you all a quick update just with Rocket Future and everything that's going on here at the channel. Been a couple weeks, a little over 2 weeks since we've done a Starbase or Starship stream. Generally speaking, we track the most active vehicles that are heading towards launch. Right now, that being Booster 9 and Ship 25. And as we know, they had been stacked recently, but just shortly after, they destacked Ship 25 and Booster 9. And not a lot has been happening there. There's been some other ships and boosters moving around, but again, my focus right now is on the pair that's launching next, hopefully. So there hasn't been any special event streams, that I wanted to necessarily do over the last couple of weeks. But that being said, we're due just to go down to Starbase and chat about what's happening down there. So keep an eye out. Hopefully this week. Last week was just nuts. Actually insanity with work. So I didn't get there last week. But keeping an eye on it. And obviously if anything big happens down there, we will absolutely be live. But separately from that, I am working on another project for the channel. Been spending a lot of time on it the last couple of weeks. Should be a fun and exciting new feature to the channel when that's released. Don't exactly know when that's going to happen yet, but I've been hard at work at that. And in the meantime, let me check something. Is this going to work? I was going to show you something, but I will show that to you later. But yeah, just a quick update on Starbase and Starship. We are keeping an eye out on any updates from the Fish and Wildlife investigation, FAA, all that good stuff. And we'll do a Starbase and Starship update stream very soon. I wanted to jump on here today, talk about OSIRIS-REx, because this is a mission I've been very excited about for a while. And it's been a while since we've chatted here. For a stream in general, a couple weeks. So I wanted to get on and make sure everybody was doing all right. And let's see OSIRIS-REx return a sample from an asteroid to here on Earth in just a few minutes.
It's great. The environment here is so nice. Being with the team and thinking about, this spacecraft launched 7 years ago, and now there's all this amazing science just around the corner.
Can you believe it? The team has really been working hard, and are you going to stick around for the show?
Yeah, top secret project. So I'm not going to give too much details away, but it's like I said, I've put hours and hours and hours into this thing in the last couple weeks. And I'm not saying it's going to be the most amazing thing ever. I'm not even promising that it's going to be anything special. But working on the project, I have learned a ton of. I'm enjoying the heck out of working on this project. So you know, whatever the success ends up being with this new feature that we're gonna debut on the channel soon, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But it's just been so much fun and a really good learning experience. But at minimum, I think we'll get a couple really good, entertaining streams out of it. But hopefully so much more. I could see this being integrated into this new feature being integrated into all of our streams. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'll see if I can think of, as we're watching this sample return, I'll think if I can think of some sort of hints I can give y'all. If you're signed up for our monthly postcards, so if you're a Patreon member on the postcard tier, which I think is $2.50 or $3 a month, we send you a physical postcard in the mail every month. And for those, it has photography from Starbase on the postcards. But if you're a member of the postcard tier, there was a little bit of a hint that I put into one of the postcards that will be going out in the next few days. I sent one out a few days ago. There's another one getting sent out this week, and there's another one getting sent out in 2 weeks. That they're all already processing and scheduled. So a little bit of a hint going out to our Patreon members via postcard. But I'll try to think of a little hint that I can drop here today. Maybe.
It's a really big day for science, and we're just in the beginning phases of today, but we are certainly excited to hear about what will happen and see those parachutes finally descend through our atmosphere. So yes, we're certainly excited, but this is just one phase of this amazing mission. I'm going to send it back to you, Lauren.
See the operational milestones we're expecting throughout the morning. SRC separation already happened, and the capsule is now heading for its rendezvous with Earth's atmosphere. Jim, it always appears like...
One thing, I just want to bring you over to Twitter for a second. If we're just going to shift away from OSIRIS-REx for just literally 30 seconds. I haven't looked into this at all. I haven't validated this at all. But Joel... is a member of the Starbase community and really enjoys being a part of this community. And they posted that there's a WD-57 update, something for October 10th or 15/18. So this could be potential preparation for Starship launch. Like I said, I haven't validated this. I haven't looked into it, but I'll do some research on it. I'll try to get some updates on this by the end of this stream, and I'll share those with you.
Rehearsed by a masterful team.
Absolutely, and contains, work from thousands of individuals who are making this happen. All right, so we know that you're submitting questions from all over. Let's take a few more social questions. All right, what do we have? At DevSaran at 5342461. What are the preliminary steps to take to test a sample? The preliminary steps.
So first thing we do is, of course, bag it here and get it into the clean room and get that sample, that sample canister inside the sample return capsule. Get it under.
Yeah. So the WB-57 has an imaging support placeholder. Actually, that's just for this month, though. November. October. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that.
This mission will unpack those precious samples in the small sample canister, the small device that was used on the end of the TAGSAM, and they will go through a process to get it checked out, to do early reconnaissance, and to protect it very carefully.
That is incredible, and they built that whole clean room. No other asteroid samples before.
Right.
This is the first one.
First ever.
First ever. As the SRC approaches the edge of Earth's atmosphere, we are just moments away from the world's largest ever asteroid sample return. Jim, what are you feeling right now?
I am literally tingling all over with exhilaration. This is a small step for a capsule and a giant leap for science.
It really is, and if that's one thing we can impart, that is it. This is a huge, huge milestone, a great achievement. So this is it. We are just 15 minutes away from the OSIRIS-REx sample return, a journey of 7 years and nearly 4 billion miles. The work of thousands culminates in...
I guess I'll switch my timer to 15 minutes. I'll change that. And, yeah.
Yeah, Lauren, buckle up and get ready for the ride of entry, descent, and landing. This is 13 minutes of crazy descent, punishing crazy deceleration of our spacecraft, starting at 27,000 miles per hour when it enters into Earth's atmosphere, and eventually slowing to a leisurely 11 miles per hour as it descends and lands on the Utah Test and Training Range.
Recovery operations. Helicopters 1 and 2 have arrived at the holding location.
So good news, our helicopters are ready to go and begin those recovery operations just as soon as we have confirmation of touchdown here. And as the sun begins to rise in the west coast, the SRC is going to be streaking across the atmosphere above San Francisco, California, about 82 miles in altitude. It's going to be coming in hot, over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, almost a couple seconds after it hits that atmosphere. That's about half as warm as the surface of the sun, to give you some context. But don't worry, our sample will be safe and sound within. We have a heat shield, which is made of a phenolic impregnated carbon ablator. It's a very fancy term to describe what's going on with this heat shield. It basically ablates away or burns away any kind of heat flux that develops on that outer shell, making sure that our sample is safe and cool within. Similar technology that we use with astronauts coming back from the moon or any kind of other landers that we have going into planets and moons. So we're just a couple moments away from this key moment. It's going to be very exciting next couple 13 minutes here, and you'll hear a couple callouts come in from just next door in our mission operations team as they begin to get us ready for this key moment. It's a journey of 3.86 billion miles getting reduced to the scale of mere miles, 82 miles above the surface of the Earth in San Francisco. A couple key events are going to happen as soon as we get into the Earth's atmosphere. Very quickly we're going to deploy our drogue parachute. This is for stability, stabilizes our descent, and make sure that we are continuing to target that landing ellipse that is here in the Utah Test and Training Range. It is a 36.5 by 8 mile landing ellipse that is here, marked out for that recovery operation. You see on your screen now the mission ops team eager at the edge of their seats for that first call out of Earth atmospheric entry. Very exciting moment coming up in just a few seconds here.
RMD, are these guesses for the secret new feature?
Long journey. It's been on its own for 4 hours. There's nothing we can do at this point. It's coming in, rain or shine.
EO milestone. The SRC has entered the Earth's atmosphere. UTTR tracking assets have acquired.
And here we go. Start your stopwatch right now. We are 13 minutes of entry, descent, and landing. We have that expected milestone of entering into the Earth's atmosphere. We can see the team at Lockheed, and we actually have a visual now. This is from our infrared tracking camera on the WB-57, our high-altitude plane. At about 47,000 feet MSL, mean sea level, getting a great view of that SRC heating up as it enters into Earth's atmosphere. The punishing deceleration that spacecraft, that SRC, is experiencing right now as it comes in at about 27,650 miles an hour. You can see it glowing brightly in the sky. And in just a few moments, we're going to reach peak heating and peak deceleration. That's at 32 G-forces, punishing G-force on our SRC. A phenomenal view of that streaking SRC coming in across the sky. At this point, we have entered in over San Francisco, California, and are very quickly going to be approaching the Utah Test and Training Range just a little bit further to the east. Entry was at
EO milestone. SRC is experiencing maximum heating and maximum deceleration.
So you just heard right there, we're experiencing that 5,000 degree Fahrenheit maximum heating, burning scalding hot on that heat shield that is protecting our sample within, and maximum deceleration that is at 32 G-force, punishing deceleration from Earth's atmosphere, the drag forces that are acting on that SRC. Once again, as I mentioned, that sample is safe and sound within that SRC, that sample return capsule, as it comes in, burning through Earth's atmosphere.
Detroit Mission Control says, here we go. R3 Vent Love says, fingers crossed. Everybody's fingers crossed right now. We want to see this 7-year mission come to a successful end.
Parachute deployment, that'll be at about 102,300 feet altitude. And as I mentioned before, that will stabilize our descent and slow us from hypersonic to subsonic speeds as we continue to target the Utah Test and Training Range.
Expected EDO milestone. SRC commands drogue parachute deploy.
So we heard that command to deploy the drogue parachute. Waiting to see that visual confirmation, but that is at 102,300 feet. And a side note, at this time, 8:44 a.m. Mountain Time, the OSIRIS-Apex spacecraft is at its closest approach to Earth. that will be on to its extended mission visiting the asteroid Apophis in the year 2029, continuing this incredible mission at another world. And in just a few moments, we should enter into special use airspace at approximately 8:46 a.m. That's going to be at 10 miles off the deck here at Utah Test and Training Range. You can still see that SRC on your screen very faintly in the distance. Still quite warm, that fireball that literally was a ball of plasma just a few moments ago when it first entered into the Earth's atmosphere. That SRC is nearly 3 feet wide, 1.6 feet tall. It's a small object, so quite a challenge to track this as it comes searing into Earth's atmosphere.
I don't know much to say here. This is just exciting. Just kind of waiting.
In just a few moments, we should be entering into special use airspace.
Anticipation.
This area was specifically chosen for this mission. It's a wide open, vast desert space, relatively flat, perfect to land this sample today. We did, as I mentioned, have a couple days of rain here leading up to this event, so the ground is a little bit soft.
There is a visual. Check that out. It's just...
You can see our SRC.
Yeeting. Wow. That's nuts that they have that visual. This must be the WD-57 as well, right?
This is from our high altitude cam.
Wow. I can't believe that they're tracking that. We should see, if they keep tracking, we should see chutes and everything. This is going to be beautiful.
Our next milestone, we should be expecting main parachute deployment at around 8:49 a.m. Mountain Time. That will be at around 5,000 feet elevation. We continue to track with our high altitude camera here.
Let's go, JPL.
As I mentioned, that sample is thermally isolated within. That SRC was on the other side of the solar system from us sampling at Asteroid Bennu.
Looks like we had a quick internet blip there, but I think we're all right.
The team has incredible precision on this mission as well. Just a few days ago, on the 17th of September, they did their final trajectory correction maneuver, TCM-12. This corrected our velocity by 3 millimeters per second.
Where is it? We should see chutes at this point, I would have imagined. There it is. Shoots.
PDL milestone. We have confirmed parachute deployment.
Wow. And after an exhilarating streak across Earth's atmosphere,
hopefully some ground shots.
Parachute deployment. You can see just a sigh of relief from the team. I can hear some applause here. There is that orange creamsicle colored parachute. Just a delight, a sweet delight to see in our sky here over the Utah Test and Training Range. A phenomenal view. Just wonderful to see that deployment. That is at around 5,000 feet elevation above the Utah Test and Training Range. And now this is like a marathon runner savoring that last lap here as we approach the finish, that landing in the Utah.
Reminds you of Falcon Heavy boosters coming back? Absolutely.
Wonderful to see that.
I
continue to track. Sure. This is with our high altitude camera still, that WB-57.
I have a feeling we're going to get swapped over to a beautiful ground shot here shortly.
And you saw Sophia out at the edge of that ellipse watching from Wig Mountain. The team there could potentially have a wonderful view momentarily as well. We'll continue to descend. Our next altitude descent will be at about 4,000 feet. Just a few minutes away from getting that sample from the other side of the solar system, from the surface of Asteroid Bennu at sample site Nightingale to the rugged terrain of the Utah Test and Training Range. Looks like winds are relatively low. Not a lot of rocking back and forth. Those parachutes seem to be perfectly smooth coming down, that parachute there. Continuing to descend, with a slight little bit of tilt back and forth of our SRC as it comes to its resting velocity of 11 miles per hour as it makes that final descent.
Wow.
That parachute deployment was given internally by the spacecraft. All of what you're seeing now is autonomous.
This thing went to an asteroid, and now it's back here.
That successfully lands. The teams will begin the next crucial phase of this mission, the sample recovery operations. They've been rehearsing for this moment for months, literally years, really, leading up to this key moment and are ready to begin those operations to get that SRC into our portable clean room here.
It's rocking a
and
bit.
extract that sample canister within. According to my watch, we're about 5 minutes away.
I imagine this capsule must be pretty resilient, though. Even if it was to,
As we heard a few moments ago,
even if it was to
helicopters 1 and 2
fall,
are already staged and ready to begin those recovery
hopefully it would
operations just
keep
as
the
soon as we
sample
have
safe.
confirmation
I
of
don't know.
touchdown.
But that being said, I have zero expectations that this thing's going to fall. They know what they're doing.
This could be a little bit faster, a little bit slower as we get closer in. This wind speed here is a variable that is quite hard to predict, especially once you're high up in the atmosphere. We did release a weather balloon earlier on this afternoon, or earlier on this morning rather, to get a profile of our atmospheric conditions. The team puts those into various models as they prepare for this key moment. But once again, they are a little bit hard to predict, a little bit of variability, so we may kind of bounce around a little bit on that predicted OSIRIS-REx sample return capsule touchdown time. The ground really closing in now on that SRC.
EDL milestone. Helo 1 has visual on the SRC below the chute.
That is phenomenal. Let's see that view here from that first helicopter. They've got visual on the sample return capsule under parachute, that orange creamsicle colored parachute, really bright in the morning light over the Utah Test and Training Range.
They really like to emphasize the creamsicle color of the parachute.
We can have now from our helicopter as it continues to make its final descent to the terrain below. And once again, just setting the context for this, when we first hit the top of the atmosphere, we were at 27,650 miles per hour. We are now leisurely decelerating under our orange parachute.
I hope we get to see the actual recovery of the capsule, like the trucks making it out there and stuff, but
incredible amount of deceleration.
Like we heard earlier, it might take them a little time to make sure the area is clear.
Deceleration. Our drogue parachute initially stabilizing our descent, and then ultimately that main parachute bringing us.
I'm surprised we're not on any ground-based cameras yet. I guess there just might be none, or we don't have access because of
You can see right in the center of that crosshair. That is the parachute with the SRC dangling beneath.
The fact that this is a military testing ground. Creamsicles are delicious. Very underrated, I think.
The team on the WB-57 doing
EDL milestone. We have touchdown.
Touchdown.
EDL. SRC has touchdown.
And touchdown of the OSIRIS-REx sample return capsule.
About 2.5
journey
minutes
of
early.
1 billion miles to asteroid Bennu and back has come to an end, marking America's first sample return mission of its kind and opening.
I know, we were joking
capsule
about that
to our
earlier,
ancient
RMD.
solar
Imagine
system.
if it had live ordnance
Unofficial touchdown
nearby.
time, 8:52 a.m. Mountain. And the team can now breathe an immense sigh of relief. We now have
It's
the
back.
sample
That's
return
awesome.
capsule, the SRC, containing pieces of the asteroid Bennu. You see the reaction
Live
there
reaction from
just
mission
moments
control.
ago as they got that sample back on the ground.
That's awesome.
This is the team at Lockheed celebrating that momentous achievement of getting that sample from the other side of the solar system at asteroid Bennu. When we took that sample, we were over 200 million miles away from us here on Earth.
That's so
The
cool.
long journey back, 1.2 billion miles from asteroid Bennu, back to here with that sample has just...
No explosions when it landed. That is a good sign. That is a good sign indeed.
And a little bit ahead of schedule, too. The SRC landing about 3 minutes
Yep,
ahead of
pop
when we
the
had
champagne.
originally predicted.
We got another. Is
It
this
was in a
another
rush to
live
get back
reaction,
here,
or is this
carrying amazing amount of scientific information
Is this
within.
live after
The team is eager to crack that SRC
touchdown?
open, get the sample canister within, and begin the process of understanding the origins of our solar system and potentially the origins of life.
I think this is just live, so they're
We're not in the
probably
clear just yet. A key piece of the mission is about to get underway. This is the recovery operation phase. Once the team has officially confirmed the exact touchdown location, they'll be flying out on 4 separate helicopters and will operate much like a Formula One pit crew, if you will, to recover the SRC, take environmental samples at the landing zone, the LZ. Everyone has a role to play. It's going to be simultaneous action as they get that SRC recovered and begin to do
also
an environmental
keeping an eye
safety
on
sweep,
the NASA Solar System
collecting
Twitter.
samples
Last
along the
update was that the main chute is deployed. Keeping an eye on that. For their official
You see our mission
announcement
ops
that it
team
landed,
just next door.
and any extra footage or pictures that they have.
I'll once again remind you that the sample canister itself is not actually going to be opened here at Dugway. The next phase of the operation is simply to get that SRC into the portable clean room that has been specifically set up for this recovery operation. The team will then remove the heat shield protecting the SRC and its precious cargo within the entire descent through the entry, descent, and landing.
Camera just went wild.
Remove the back shell, and then extract the sample canister within the tag sim that just a few years ago collected pieces.
Detroit Mission Control, I did see the sea trout that you cooked this week. That looked actually amazing. That looked so good. And thanks for sharing that on the Discord. I appreciate everybody just chatting and sharing random stuff in the Discord. Like I said, I want to slowly continue to make the Discord more active, and just sharing stuff like that helps a lot. And it's really cool to see all the stuff that you're cooking in there. It seems like you certainly have a passion for that.
These helicopters will have a trip out to find that exact touchdown location of the SRC.
See you later, Dave. Thanks for joining us this morning. What time is it out there anyway?
SRC. He'll do an environmental safety sweep checking for unexploded ordnances. As he mentioned in his interview earlier with Sophia, he understands this range. He's worked here for a number of years. He will brief the team on any possible dangers that would be presented to them as they begin those recovery operations. And then a team member from Lockheed Martin will begin to take gas and thermal readings once the area is safe of that SRC to determine whether or not it is at safe operational levels for the rest of the team to begin the recovery operations.
Have a good evening, Dave.
As I mentioned, this is going to be simultaneous action. The team has prepared. They're all going to be wearing these bright white UV shirts, sample recovery shirts. And you'll see them walking out to that sample in just a few moments here once those helicopters land. A great view once again from our high altitude plane. You can see the parachute there next to our SRC. There is a possibility that there could be unexploded ordnances from that parachute. There is a mortar inside that is to fire to disconnect the parachute from the main SRC to help it come to a final rest. It's a bit challenging to see from this perspective, but there could be some potential roll marks or skid marks as that SRC came to a rest on the rugged desert surface below.
I'm surprised NASA Solar System hasn't posted an update that it landed yet. It's still just the last update. The main parachute has deployed 9 minutes ago. But yeah, it'll be cool if they post some additional pictures here.
You heard Stu mentioning the team might need to wear some boots. The operations could get a little bit slippery as they begin to recover that sample.
I keep switching to the wrong scenes.
This is a pristine sample from the ancient solar system. It could hold
Andromeda Strain. Did you ever see that movie? That was something.
Formation of the planets to the origins of life here on Earth. Needless to say, this is precious cargo, and the recovery team is fully aware of the gravity of the situation and the importance of what they're about to do today with these recovery operations. You can see it looks like our parachute has come to a stable rest. The winds were pretty low today, so it looks like it is not billowing at all. It is almost perfectly flat, at least from this perspective, on that desert terrain.
Yeah, hard to tell, but yeah.
And throughout all these operations, the crew member's safety is paramount. So you'll see the team probably huddle up a couple times as they begin these recovery operations to make sure that everything is safe and continues to be nominal as they make their initial safety sweep. All of this recovery should be a very quick process, usually. They've rehearsed for this again for months. They've been out here all summer really rehearsing for this moment. They did a drop test last month. They've also had numerous rehearsals actually practicing containing that SRC, getting it on a sample carrying fixture.
Recovery operations, WV has located the parachute on the ground.
You just heard that confirmation from that high altitude plane locating that parachute on the ground. This location info will be relayed to our team members aboard those helicopters as they begin their approach out to the landing zone. We do have that confirmation from the high altitude plane, as you just heard. We're still working to get confirmation from our NASA helicopter. It is on its way out to that landing zone as we speak, so we should hopefully have that view up in just a few moments. You continue to see our team just next door, the mission operations team, all looking at that high altitude view. Right in the middle there, just pointing around with the UV white shirt, is Rich Witherspoon from Lockheed Martin. He has been leading a lot of these operations for the past couple months. He's been preparing the team for this exact moment and really has been a great leader, helping us get ready for these recovery operations. Yeah, so this ellipse here, this landing zone, is a quite large setup here, and this was chosen intentionally for this mission. It's about 37 miles by 9 miles total, this landing ellipse, out in the Utah Test and Training Range here in Dugway, Utah. This is an enormous facility. As you heard earlier, it's about the size of Rhode Island, all in all, this whole facility. It's relatively flat, very smooth terrain, this desert surface. So it's perfect for bringing something back and having that nice, safe landing on the desert surface. Just a few years ago, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft back in...
I've been trying to think of a good hint to drop. I haven't thought of one yet for the upcoming feature reveal on the channel.
When it did that, it was only at the surface for just a couple seconds, descending at a speed about 11 centimeters per second, just a little bit faster than a baby that is crawling. It's a very slow pace. But they were able to successfully get that sample and bring it from the edge of our solar system back to us here at that Utah Test and Training Range. You can see our full screen view here of that high altitude view, looking at the parachute at rest on the surface of the desert. This is at the Utah Test and Training Range. It's a wide open expanse here, and the team has this positional info, and they'll be relaying that to our helicopter teams to begin those recovery operations. And what you'll see in a couple of seconds here, the recovery team, the recovery crews are responsible for securing the sample return capsule, the landing site around it, and helicoptering the SRC to a portable clean room that's located just next door here on the range. And just a little bit later on, it's going to be attached to a 100-foot long line beneath one of the helicopters, and they'll actually be flown to the clean room. This was determined to be...
If you're just joining us, we are watching the NASA live stream of the OSIRIS-REx asteroid Bennu sample return. So again, this spacecraft launched on Atlas V, flew out to asteroid Bennu, just popped down and raised back up on the asteroid, and while it did that, it captured a sample in its little foot there. It stored that sample, put it into this capsule that could safely re-enter Earth. And 7 years after launch today, we have witnessed the re-entry and the successful landing of this sample. So next thing is for the teams to check out. This is, I guess, an active military testing area, so they want to make sure that there's no risks in the area, like unexploded ordnances. And then we'll see teams go there and recover this capsule. They're not going to open the capsule, of course. They're going to do that in a safe, scientific environment that won't cause contamination to the sample. But at least we should get confirmation that I think that the capsule looks good visually, at least, in that the sample remains safe and uncontaminated. So hopefully that's the level of detail we'll get for today's stream. I'm really excited to start seeing the trucks and stuff arrive out on that road. It looks like it landed pretty close to, I believe that is a road. So that should be decent access for the teams to recover. Really, really exciting. And even though that this is a return of this sample from OSIRIS-REx, the OSIRIS-REx mission isn't over. First of all, they have to do all the science and stuff on the sample, but the actual spacecraft OSIRIS-REx isn't done yet. It went to the asteroid, got the sample, returned the sample to Earth, and is now on to its next target. OSIRIS-REx next mission. Spacecraft fired its engines to divert past Earth toward its new mission to asteroid Apophis, APOPHIS, and was renamed OSIRIS-APEX. That is nuts. So I'll read this excerpt from blogs.nasa.gov. NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft completed its final task for this mission when it released its sample capsule towards Earth less than 1 hour ago. This is from today. About 20 minutes after doing so, the spacecraft fired its engines to divert past Earth towards its new mission to asteroid Apophis, and was renamed OSIRIS-Apex. So OSIRIS-REx is now OSIRIS-Apex. Also an awesome name. Roughly 1,000 feet wide, Apophis will come within 20,000 miles of Earth, less than 1/10 the distance between Earth and Moon, in 2029. OSIRIS-Apex is scheduled to enter orbit of Apophis soon, and the asteroid's close approach of Earth to see how the encounter affected the asteroid's orbit, spin rate, and surface. That is actually crazy that this is such a massive, massive mission. Like, this is actually unbelievable to me. We launched OSIRIS-REx. It went to an asteroid. It returned a sample to Earth, and it's now going to another asteroid. It has all the necessary delta V and thrust ability to get there. This is actually crazy. So cool. So cool.
To our SRC.
Mind blowing.
One of the first goals once the team gets out there is to safe and stow the parachute and begin to mark places of interest, as I mentioned, for that curation team to begin sampling. This is all a very well coordinated machine, very well oiled machine that operates in tandem. They've rehearsed extensively for this moment. So we just heard from the team in that mission operations room that they have visual of the parachute, that orange parachute that you saw on your screen moments ago. But we do not yet have visual confirmation of the SRC itself. The team is continuing to survey the region, looking for that sample return capsule.
Sounds good, Thomas. Welcome. I don't know why I said welcome, but thanks for joining us yet again. We really appreciate you, and thanks so much for gifting a membership to Ryan earlier. Your support is very appreciated. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next stream there.
So you just heard that call out from Tim Prizer, who you see on your screen there from the mission operations room. He just announced that Helos 1 and 2 are now at that landing site. They're pointing out something on the screen. I see some smiles. It seems like we might have potentially some more information on that SRC in the coming moments.
And another gifted membership. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Eyeing up the region.
Alan was the recipient of that membership. Alan McKeithen.
Vehicles have left Wood and are in pursuit of the landing zone.
So some more team members are going to be heading out to that landing zone as well in support of those 4 helicopters that will be the main group recovering that sample. The main helicopter will be actually attaching that sample return capsule once the team has it located and ready to prepare for recovery operations. They'll load that on long line. You can see once again, some team members pointing at items on the screen here. We'll hopefully get confirmation in the coming minutes of that SRC location. Tim Prizer pointing at the screen now, wondering if he has any more information for us on where that sample return capsule location would be.
Not sure if that's my side or their side, but my internet seems fine.
We do have visual confirmation of that.
Just the buffering.
As I mentioned.
Pursuit.
Rich Witherspoon radioing out to the team, and now we have a view from our helicopter.
I think that's their side,
of the
to be
landing
honest.
location. You can see the sample return capsule dead center on your screen, that kind of dark.
There it is, the sample return. Am I buffering
right there?
for you
And
all? I know the NASA stream is, but am I
Just
fine,
to
or
the
am I
right of it,
also
a little
coming
bit
in and
below
out?
is our parachute. It appears to be resting on the surface. We're getting a zoom in now from our NASA helicopter, and you can see now the SRC. At last, we have a visual of it on the surface of the Utah Test and Training Range. I'm sure that is a pleasant sight for the team to see.
Recovery operations. Helo 2 has visual on the SRC. I repeat, SRC has been located.
And we have visual on that SRC. It appears that the parachute has
Look
also
at that.
disconnected. It's a little bit off from that SRC, disconnecting from the back shell. The SRC appears to be resting on its nose, that heat shield that protected it the whole way down through that entry, descent.
My neighbor just let me know that a package was incorrectly delivered to their place for some reason. They're literally right next door. In the same building, so I'm just gonna go grab that real quick. I'll be back in less than a minute.
They gave the go command to actually release that SRC that you see on your screen right there from the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft about 4 hours ago. It then ventured entirely on its own and now sits on its own for us here in the Utah Test and Training Range. So now that we have visual, the teams should be able to begin the recovery operations in just a few moments. As I mentioned, that first person on scene will be the on-scene commander, Stu Wiley. He'll be doing an environmental sweep. We're getting a nice close-up view. You can see the parachute disconnected. You can see some of the wiring of it there, just a little bit off the edge of our SRC. The SRC looks quite charred up from that entry in. That was expected as we heated up to temperatures over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit upon entry into Earth's atmosphere. You can see a great visual of some of that rugged terrain out there. Just a sweeping expanse, very panoramic terrain at the Utah Test and Training Range. It's a great location for us to land this sample. The team looking a lot more relieved now that we actually have visual. And we should be able to begin those recovery operations shortly. Inside that sample return capsule are pieces of the asteroid Bennu. We'll be getting access to those samples in just a few days and actually seeing exactly what we got from the asteroid regolith. This mission continues to amaze me and everyone involved here. The engineering is ingenious for this mission, getting us with a robotic explorer to the edge of the solar system, collecting that sample, safely stowing it, and then actually transporting it back here to Earth for us to open up and analyze. The surface today was probably a little bit soft, so it looks like it's resting a little bit far off the actual desert. It doesn't appear to have dug in too much with that nose cone from the heat shield.
We got a pretty exciting package, actually. Check it out.
You are here with us as we witness this historic moment. It's the first time the United States has
I know
delivered
exactly what
samples
this
from
is.
an
This
asteroid
is
to
actually
Earth.
very relevant to the
These
channel.
samples will be analyzed for decades to come in laboratories around the world.
Sorry, it's loud.
And there is landing of our first helicopter at the site.
Wow.
Appears to have a nice soft landing. We're just probably a couple hundred feet.
Recovery operations. Helo 1 has landed at the recovery site.
So our first helicopter, you just heard confirmation, and you can see visual confirmation of that landing. We're maybe about 100, 200 feet away, landing away from that sample. So a little bit of a hike for our team members to get out to that sample return capsule and begin our environmental safety sweep. As I mentioned, our on-scene commander, Stu Wiley, will be the first person of the team to actually approach this sample, check the area for any unexploded ordnances, UXOs, that could possibly be out there on the range, and then also make sure that that SRC is safe for our operations team to approach and begin recovery.
That is an absolutely amazing view of the capsule. We've been seeing the shape of this capsule for so long. As we've been hearing about this mission and waiting for this recovery, this re-entry. Sorry, volume up a little bit. You probably couldn't hear me very well. But it's amazing to see the capsule just hanging out there, sitting there, looking exactly like the way it's supposed to. Hopefully we'll see some teams start to approach that pretty shortly here. This package, I will tell you a little bit more about, but let me go grab something to show you with. Where is, probably in the studio. Yeah. So I actually haven't tested this yet. But of course, this is our main film camera, video camera that we use for all of our Starbase streams. This is 4K. It does some high speed as well. Pretty good. But we got a very important accessory for it. So let's see if I can figure out how to install it. So first and foremost, we need to take this hood off, which I think is just as easy as hitting this button here, twisting. And then we got this very important filter. So let's see if it works. So I'm going to take it off. And then, it doesn't seem like we got the right size. I do know that I checked the size before I bought it. So either I got sent the wrong one or the specs on the camera is wrong. So I'll double check. But anyway, plenty of time to fix this, not a big deal. But what this is a solar filter. So we can both record and stream the upcoming annular eclipse here next month in just how many days? I don't know, like 20 days or something, which we'll be doing an awesome, hopefully exciting live stream for of the annular eclipse here in October 14th. So make sure your notifications on for that stream. We got the link already up on the channel and everything, so check that out. So we'll have video footage of the whole annular eclipse from start to end, as long as we don't get completely clouded out or something. And also for the total eclipse next year. We'll need this for the beginning of the total eclipse and the end of the total eclipse. But the best part about a total solar eclipse is when you can take this off and see that aura around the moon, or around the sun and moon, technically. So that's great. Unfortunately, the filter size is incorrect. I'll figure that out later. But we also got the eclipse glasses, and we got plenty of them to share those who are hanging out with us while we go see these eclipse. So the way I want to kind of do these eclipse streams is similarly to how I did the launch day streams for ship 24 and booster 7. Basically, I'd like to get as best footage as we can of the main subject, which will be in this case the sun, but also some other cameras on the crowd for crowd reactions. I want to interview people about how they think about the eclipse, and just kind of share a little bit of a party atmosphere during these fun events. So if you've never seen a total solar eclipse, which is going to be coming through the United States next year, make sure you see that. The difference between a partial solar eclipse and a total solar eclipse is it's 10 times cooler to see a total eclipse. Even if you've seen like a 99% partial eclipse, seeing totality and being able to take your glasses off and seeing totality is entirely a different thing. It is the coolest astronomical thing you can see, in my opinion. It is absolutely insane. So October 14th on this channel, annular solar eclipse. I'll figure out this thing and we'll go from there.
As the team actually will be setting up a camera on the ground for us to observe the recovery operations close up. And a note from one of the team members about the SRC itself. So they have approximately 40 hours. That is the amount of time it would take for any air to get into the sample. As I mentioned before, that sample return capsule is a complex network of piping and tubing inside of it, sort of like a labyrinth-like design.
Is it a publisher clearinghouse filter? It is a Thousand Oaks optical filter.
Sample canister. It's also sort of like a nesting doll, if you will, where it has multiple layers of protection that keep that sample safe.
Is it Ed McMahon telling you that you won 10 million? I missed that. That's funny.
Once we get that sample into the clean room, will be shed, and we'll be able to actually access that sample canister within. The main goal, as I said, for today is to get that sample canister on a nitrogen purge. That is to maintain.
Cool to see that the helicopter had landed there, and we'll continue to wait here a little bit to see some folks start to approach the sample.
You can see our SRC at the...
Detroit Mission Control viewed a total eclipse last time it came through southern Illinois. Absolutely. That's amazing. Could you use the same weapons used on Maui Thunder? Sir, you are not in the right place for that type of conversation. You can definitely find somewhere else to discuss conspiracy theories. Where is my audio?
Tim Prizer, that the team is beginning to actually approach the SRC for that initial environmental and safety sweep. You'll soon see our on-scene commander, Oscar Stu Wiley, approaching that sample return capsule. As I mentioned before, he'll be checking for any possible unexploded ordnances. You can see our mission operations team. They have been overseeing all of this morning's events, and they're going to continue. There we go. On screen, you can see front and center there, Stu Wiley, our on-scene commander, and right behind him is Victoria team. They are both wearing personal protective equipment, gas masks. That's for their own safety as they approach, as there could be potential outgassing from that sample return capsule's batteries heating up during re-entry. You can see him scanning the region. He is checking for any possible unexploded ordnances, UXOs.
Recovery operations. Oscar's performing the unexploded ordnance survey.
And you just heard that he is in fact doing that survey right now. You can
check this out, folks. People are coming up to it. Now you get a scale of this capsule.
It was on the other side of the solar system. We had sent this on a long journey. It was OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. Finally delivering the sample, he is motioning over to Victoria team, who is shortly going to approach and begin taking some gas and thermal readings. You can see her walking over and must have given the clear for her to proceed. A little bit closer. Stu continues to pace around the surrounding area. All over here, the team will collect samples. He'll begin to place flags. You can see in his backpack, he's got a couple flags waving in the breeze. Those will be placed at areas of interest for our team members to sample once they arrive and begin those recovery operations. Victoria is now appearing to take out her thermal and gas reading devices. She's taking an initial thermal reading of that SRC as we speak, looking for it to be at an operational temperature of around 100
Recovery
degrees Fahrenheit.
operations. Lockheed Martin Safety is performing hazardous environment assessments.
And you just
Nice.
heard that confirmation. So she is performing that
What
hazardous
a view.
environment
That's-
assessment,
that
checking the
is
thermal
crazy.
temperature of that SRC, as well as taking any kind of gas readings to make sure that we are at safe operational levels. She is...
No, nothing much RMD. I think I don't know if it was a bot or a conspiracy theorist or a conspiracy theorist bot, but they just started typing in stuff that had nothing to do with nothing to do with space or anything in general. They were talking about they pasted in like 2 or 3 different random conspiracy theories that have nothing to do with space at all.
There are several nozzles.
Oh no, Detroit.
The SRC, and so once Victoria has the clear to approach, she'll actually open up some of those valves and insert a gas reading device within to actually take some temperatures. And you can see off to the left of your screen, Stu Wiley is actually safing and stowing away that parachute that helped take us the last leg of the journey.
How did I get this filter
It's great
wrong?
news that disconnected from the SRC. That allowed our SRC to rest as it is now here on the surface of the Utah Test and Training Range. It appears with minimal dragging.
Recovery operations. Oscar is safing and storing the main parachute.
So Stu is going to get that parachute stowed, placed away, as Victoria is front and center on your screen, beginning to take some of those gas readings to make sure that we are not outgassing any kind of noxious chemicals.
I am just an idiot. Okay, so I saw these. I've used filters on cameras before. I know how they work, but I was just being dumb. So I saw these grooves. Obviously, those aren't for the filter. That's for the hood. That's how that works. So when I was trying to put the filter on like this, obviously it's not going to work. I have to rotate the filter like that, and then this screws in just like this. Look at that. The filter works. maybe I'll set this up today and get some sunspots. Who else we got going on here? Dolly, scraps from meteor. Yeah, so this is asteroid sample return. So they took a sample from an asteroid, Bennu, and returned that inside that capsule. So yeah, inside those capsules is samples from an asteroid. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Planning and preparation leading
I'm glad
to this
I don't have
final
to send
phase
this back.
of getting that sample back here to our clean rooms. I'm sure they've been holding their breath all morning, so they're getting closer to finally being able to take another breath and relax as we actually will begin our recovery operations, a key part of today's events. And you might see Victoria approach over and over once again to that SRC to continue to take gas readings. At this point, she appears to be covering up the back shell of that SRC, placing a Teflon cover over. This is where the parachute actually deployed at the top of the SRC capsule, the sample return capsule rather.
And folks, if you're tracking viewing the annular eclipse this year or the total eclipse next year, make sure you get your glasses from a reliable source. There's going to be a ton of people selling lower quality eclipse glasses as it gets close to try to make a quick buck, but they will not be good enough, and it could cause eye damage. So don't get knockoff eclipse glasses. You want to make sure, and anybody can write anything on their product, but buy it from a reliable source so you know it's true, but it needs to meet the ISO 12312-2 2015 certification, I guess. You can look all this stuff up online. If you need any help, resources to find reliable, good eclipse glasses, let me know. I can point you in the right direction. I haven't tried these ones yet, but they are from a reliable source, Thousand Oaks. So I know they're going to be good. But one thing you want to make sure is that there's no pinholes in the glasses. So before you use them on the sun, I'm not going to open these, but take the glasses out and use like a light in your house to look at the film that makes up the actual lenses to make sure there's no holes. Common misconception about eclipses is that they are specifically extra dangerous to look at. They're not any worse than looking at the sun, but looking at the sun is very, very bad. If you look at the sun for any length of time, you are causing yourself eye damage. So it's not that eclipses are any more dangerous to look at, it's just you're looking at the sun. And any amount of seconds or microseconds looking at the sun, you are doing damage to your eyes. So make sure you get some eclipse glasses. Dolly says, thanks for the info. I'm a skywatcher. Excellent. Yeah, thanks for coming and welcome. If you haven't been on the channel before, this is Rocket Future. We're covering this asteroid. We're watching this asteroid sample return today. We usually we do some videos about rockets and stuff, and we're going to do some eclipse footage this year and next year. So all sorts of fun astronomy stuff coming up on the channel. So definitely stick around. Appreciate you stopping by. Detroit says, can that lady come over here and take gas readings from rockets? Certainly think his gas is dangerous. Probably.
Riveted by the live images, these teams have watched and nurtured this mission for more than 7 years of spaceflight, and even longer in terms of construction and design. Gosh,
wow,
amazing.
11 years since it was selected to fly. What a job, folks.
Just fantastic. A lot's happened in 7 years.
So it looks like they checked
out.
So
let's get an update from where the action started this morning. Sophia,
let's listen in.
Tell us everything.
No, definitely don't use your glasses from Spy Kids 3D.
Grateful that the capsule is on the ground and in good hands now. Now, from here, from Wig Mountain, I am overlooking the vast landing zone, which, again, is larger than the state of Rhode Island. So, during that time, listening to James's commentary of the capsule coming through our atmosphere, we're all standing on the edge here, looking and scanning through the sky. But just to give you some context again of where I am, I'm about 4,000 feet up, overlooking a vast, ancient seabed. So mountains that are peppering along the edges over here. They are very muted colors. It's beautiful pastel out there. And as we're looking over through the sky, it's hard to see because there's alkaline dust from this ancient seabed. And considering that the capsule has landed on the edge of the landing zone, even though I'm as close as I could possibly be, I didn't see anything over here. I will say I'm a little disappointed, but grateful that that capsule is in the most capable hands it can be, and that is the most important thing out here. So while I didn't see with my eyes myself, we saw it on the screen, and it's still a great day. So back to you, Lauren.
Wow, thank you, Sophia, and thankfully we got...
So some folks went out there and checked the off-gassing, checked for any ordinances. So that is done. So we're going to wait for just a little while longer to see if they actually pick this thing up. Rocket is the official mascot of Rocket Future. I like it. I like it.
Carried out the first mission to collect a sample from an asteroid. And after a 2-year journey, it has touched down at the Utah desert. It brought something extraordinary, the largest asteroid sample ever received on Earth. It's going to help scientists investigate planet formation. It's going to improve our understanding of asteroids that could possibly impact the Earth, and it'll deepen our understanding of the origin of our solar system and its formation. This mission proves that NASA does big things, things that inspire us, things that unite us.
Recovery operations, we can confirm that the SRC is not breached.
Beyond our reach. And the mission continues with incredible science and analysis going to come. But I want to thank you all for everybody that made this OSIRIS-REx mission possible. It wasn't mission impossible. It was the impossible became possible. Thank you all.
Great update in the background as he was talking that they have confirmed that the capsule was not breached, which is actually amazing news. You know, it would have been pretty bad if this thing landed and cracked and debris from the soil here in the Utah desert there got up into the sample, because then that could potentially, from a scientific perspective, kind of render the sample useless. You know, obviously still very cool. Obviously we can analyze it and do our best to see if we can kind of figure out what got in and remove that from the sample. I don't know. But the fact that it's not breached, really good sign. This thing is super huge success.
Pretty amazing.
It was like, wow, this is what, you know, dreams and imagination is fueled with. This is just amazing. So, you know, it can go from the movies, but this is reality, and we're doing things that people couldn't even believe could happen. It's amazing. Yeah.
And also, I mean, we've both landed under capsule, under parachutes. There's not much better feeling when that parachute opens, I'm telling you. And it was maybe not equal,
obvious.
Pretty close to exciting and the tense and that parachute opened. Oh, it was thrilling, absolutely thrilling.
Yep.
Yeah.
50% of the stream thought that it would land in the center of the ellipse. I don't know if we actually saw where it landed compared to the ellipse, but we'll see.
Considered as one of the candidates for the Boeing Starliner crew flight.
Right, and that's actually why we're here. It just worked out in our timing for our training and as we're working on Starliner, that we could come and actually view one of our prime landings.
Thank you, Dali. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Brought us to the area so we could be here and sharing the experience with you today.
And we see this has gone so well, we are ready to land.
Recovery operations.
That's the place that our flight
The recovery team is performing their
This
safety
is a
huddle.
beautiful place. It's a beautiful day this morning. You know, no wind. I think the capsule just came right down under the chute, and hopefully we'll have a nice soft ride just like this
hope
capsule
so.
too.
Absolutely. And we just got a call out that the recovery team is performing their safety operations. Everything nominal.
So
Sounds good.
you guys will be coming back, and maybe someday with samples yourself, brought back by humans.
Indeed.
What do you think about that?
Again, we're in that era of going beyond low Earth orbit now with humans, headed back to Moon and potentially one day to Mars with the Artemis program. And it is a thrilling time, as you mentioned earlier. So much taking place within the solar system, the near solar system now, and it's fascinating. Great time to be in human space.
Awesome.
I think I'd be a little bit nervous to go to an asteroid, so,
Wise
so
woman.
I'm
She's
super
wise.
glad
I need to eat
that
breakfast
the
soon.
spacecraft did it, and we'll set the pace and show us how to do it.
My
But I
stomach
think
over here is
maybe you'll practice a
growling.
little bit more before we go, because
Good
it's
idea.
a dangerous
sounds good.
environment
Right.
learning about it. So,
So much
Sonny and Butch, thank you so much for joining us
Oh, we
today.
appreciate
Hopefully
it.
you'll stick around for more of the show.
Yeah,
all right, congratulations,
Thank you,
to
guys.
everybody out
Thank you
there.
Really
so
appreciate it.
much.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with your flight.
If you've just joined us, this is special live coverage of NASA's OSIRIS-REx asteroid sample return mission. You might be thinking, this doesn't look like a typical NASA facility. And it's not. In fact, it's because of the extraordinary capabilities that we find here, that we find ourselves in the Utah desert in the first place.
I think I might lower the, I don't know, I might lower the nightbot interval. And by lower, I mean increase.
Desert environment.
I might increase it so it doesn't post as often for following us on social media and liking and subscribing. Although, I don't know. I'll think about it. But, yeah, we'll hang out a little bit longer. As you can see in the bottom left, still live views. A lot more folks around the capsule now. It's 10:36 Central Time. We'll see how we're looking at 11, and maybe we'll wrap things up around 11, so just under a half hour from now. But if they're in the middle of a process that's particularly exciting and interesting, we'll stay with it for a little bit after. But right now, we'll target maybe around 11 to start wrapping things up if they're not doing anything super exciting. But so far, again, tremendous success of this mission. My mind is actually blown that this is not the end of the OSIRIS-REx mission. Technically, it is because I guess they renamed it OSIRIS-APEX, right? Yep, OSIRIS-APEX, and is now on to its next target. I just can't believe that spacecraft is now going to another asteroid and that it has the ability to get there with its only what it has on board. Actually awesome. So top right, you can see a still photography, a picture of them checking things out, and now this is a live video feed as well. Obviously, this stream has been brought to us by NASA. This is NASA's official live stream that we are watching. You're watching it on the Rocket Future channel. But all of the credit for the actual stream that we're watching is NASA. So very, very cool. Detroit Mission Control says, I got to get going to watch my Denver Broncos. Stay frosty, Space Geeks. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Detroit, for stopping in. Appreciate you being in here and chatting with us as always. Very much appreciated. Say hi to Rocket for me. And we'll see you on the next stream, which should hopefully be this upcoming week.
Has visited Dugway, and it certainly won't be the last. Take a look. When bringing a sample of the cosmos back to Earth, it's important to find a good landing zone that won't compromise the sample. That's why NASA partnered with the Army's Dugway Proving Ground.
See you later, R3 event. See you later. Enjoy. Have a good day. We're going to be sticking around for a little bit longer here for anybody that wants to
mission landed here at Dugway, delivering our
see if there's a next piece to this recovery.
Wind. In 2006, NASA landed at Dugway again, this time with a mission called Stardust, which gathered samples of interstellar dust. Both of these missions helped fuel our understanding of the universe and wouldn't have been possible without a safe landing zone, just like OSIRIS-REx. After
That's funny,
today,
Dolly.
NASA and Dugway are looking towards the future to the Mars sample return mission that will once again be bringing a unique sample of our universe right here to Dugway Proving Ground. The U.S. Army and Air Force have been excellent hosts to us for months as we've been preparing for today's landing. That's one of many reasons I'm so pleased to welcome Colonel James Harwell, Army Commander here at Dugway Proving Ground.
Recovery
Colonel,
operations.
welcome.
Nominal SRC recovery operations have
All right, we're
begun.
getting an update. Okay. All right, nominal SRC recovery operations have begun. Okay.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Very good.
All right. Okay, so today could not have gone any better. how did it, I mean, in large part due to our amazing partners here with the military, how did it look from your end?
Oh, it looked amazing. So when you talk about partnerships, this isn't just a Dugway Proving Ground effort. Though you're sitting here on Dugway Proving Ground, the capsule actually landed on the Air Force's Utah Test and Training Range, and so it's going to be brought here to Dugway before it goes to the clean room. So this is a larger effort than just the Army's Dugway Proving Ground and NASA.
And it looks like it might have landed right.
So I got a note just before this from the commander of the Utah Test and Training Range that it did land on Uter. And so there was a little bit of rivalry there. We were hoping, but it looks like it was on Uter.
Right on the boundary, though. Yeah. So close.
So
That's
we have
funny.
a big collaboration at NASA with members of from the Army and Navy, from the military services that have given us the opportunity to go to these great places in space ourselves as people. And can you tell us a little bit about the training and other fantastic things you do prepares these people to be crew for flight into space?
Yeah, so if you look at it, the Army is the greatest leadership lab in the world, the types of problems that we have to solve on a day-to-day basis. And we have some of the best workforce that is available. So here at Dugway Proving Ground, we do chemical and biological defense testing. We're part of the Army's Test and Evaluation Command. And so anytime a piece of equipment is going to go into a service member's hands, it's tested by one of our amazing members of our workforce. But we also do training here. And so it gives a chance for folks to come and do things in a realistic environment. And that's really allows them to hone those problem-solving skills.
Right. So that's why the crews are so good who come from the Army and the Navy and the Air Force.
Yeah, we'd like to point out it was an Army astronaut this week who went over who set the record.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Well, we couldn't let you go without wishing you a very happy birthday today. Happy birthday. Today is your birthday, and you got a piece of the solar system. How about that?
I don't think I could have gotten a better present from NASA.
No. And this is the rarest stuff we've ever had on Earth.
It is. And I mean, when we're talking about the origins of life, and that's one of the I have the coolest job in the world. A couple months ago, I was here, and out on the Utah Test and Training Range, we got to go out to an archaeological site and see 12,000-year-old footprints. And now we're going to get to see the material from the origins of the solar system.
I'm really excited.
I think we've set the bar.
Really excited to check out the solar filter for this thing. I think I'll do a test today and post it to my Twitter or X. If you're not following us on X, I'll just scroll up a little bit. Nightbot just recently posted the link to that. I'll post. I'll post that. I can't figure out, Dali, are you real or are you a bot? I'm just wondering because some of your messages are really on point, related to what we're talking about. But then some of them may just be a language barrier. But I just want to check if you're real or you're a bot, because if you don't respond, I don't want any bots in the channel, so I'll get rid of you. But if you're real, happy to have you here.
To have it be a prominent area where this is coming down is really amazing to us.
Well, I'm just glad that this little town is getting noticed. It's a big rock that has kind of like holes in it because they've been flying through the sky with fire. Because it goes really fast.
Honestly, I find it really cool because you don't really expect this stuff to happen, in your backyard. But I really wish I could see it, but I don't know. I'm going to try my hardest.
I became interested in the mission because I have the NASA app.
It's cool to see this inspiring
and
people.
I get daily updates on photos, and one day I saw a photo that had that Dugway, Utah titled on it.
Okay.
And I was like, I live there. You hear about exciting things all over the world, and it's cool to hear about, but you kind of never think that you'll be, I guess, directly or indirectly involved.
Anybody
with
who
it.
is real is welcome
But to know
here.
that it's just happening here within eyesight is pretty cool.
Let's go OSIRIS-REx.
Go OSIRIS-REx.
Mostly.
Let's go OSIRIS-REx.
Let's go OSIRIS-REx.
That's cool.
All right, let's go OSIRIS-REx. I love that energy.
I do too.
All right.
I wish more of
Jim,
this stuff was covered
you're
in
a
schools.
Geologist. How did you get into this? I mean, these kids are just at the beginning of thinking about what their career might be. I mean, how did you do this?
I think all kids are intrinsically curious at birth. My mother said I was interested in space at birth. Don't know how she knew. But in any event, I think we all are, and we follow different pathways. If you see things as beautiful as we have here in Dugway,
Your dad and family
here in
were
Utah,
military service?
you'll be inspired by the rocks and
We
the things in
appreciate their
space.
service.
Like these special samples we've brought back, which are unique being from Bennu,
We
but
very
not
much
unique in the
appreciate their
kinds of
service.
materials we have here on Earth, thanks to other asteroid returns. These are the biggest we've ever done, and so we're excited. But I think curiosity is in all of us, and so that's really what it's all about. And these kids are ready to pick up on this energy.
Yeah, we need that future generation. All right, let's get an update from James. James, go ahead.
Yeah, Lawrence, so the mission operations team has confirmed that we are able to begin those recovery operations. You've been seeing on your screen in the bottom corner for the past couple minutes, team members beginning to head out and put flags of areas of interest where we'll want to sample for our sample curation team. And also just a note on our parachute deployment, the parachute was set to deploy based on capsule deceleration, and we actually reached that threshold earlier than predicted, and the parachute deployed appropriately, so everything was right there, working perfectly fine. We got that SRC, as you can see, successfully on the ground.
Recovery
it is
operations.
perfectly resting on the desert terrain, and you see 3 of our team members around that capsule beginning to place flags to begin to collect samples. The team members here you see on screen are Scott Sanford, Dante Loretto, the principal investigator at the right of your screen there, and Francis McCubbin. These are key curation team members who will help us actually get a lot of these samples of the region there, environmental samples, collected and ready to be passed along to our team at the Johnson Space Center for curation efforts there.
I'm posting a link in chat right now to our scheduled live 2023 annular solar eclipse stream. So if you get a free second, feel free to open that in a new tab and click on Remind Me, so that on October 14th, when we go live for the annular solar eclipse, you will be reminded that we're live. So I'm really excited for that, and I hope you all are too. So Dali, you've always been interested in the from family. Gotcha. That makes sense.
Process along the way, making note of exactly where they collected that sample from. All this information will then be passed along to our sample curation team at the Johnson Space Center as they begin to actually open up that sample canister and see exactly what we got within. This has been a long journey. It's been an incredible morning to witness this live. Just such a stunning feat of engineering to get that capsule back here to Earth with samples of the asteroid Bennu. This is why we do science, right? To get these kinds of samples, every piece of dust and grain inside that sample return capsule is a PhD thesis waiting to be written. It's a new discovery waiting for us about the origins of the solar system and our place in it. And the vast majority of that sample, more than 70% of that sample, is actually going to be stowed away for future analysis. We did the same exact thing with the Apollo missions when we brought back rocks from the moon.
That's cool.
A large quantity of those rocks and dust from the moon our astronauts brought back were stowed away for future generations with the expectation that our technology would continue to improve and improve and improve, and then we'd be able to ask questions that we couldn't even begin to fathom. And now the same thing we'll be doing with the OSIRIS-REx samples that we brought back from the asteroid Bennu. A lot of these will be opened up 50 years from now with scientists who are yet to be born asking questions we can't even begin to imagine.
That's awesome. I really like that. That's a great idea. They're tools to analyze these things.
So our team is
maybe they'll have a lot more samples by then.
now, and our recovery operations will begin. You'll see a number of team members come out here. They'll be carrying with them a carrying fixture. It's a large metal fixture that has been perfectly designed to have our SRC resting within. They'll be bringing out a lot of thermal blanketing that will be used to protect our SRC.
Like I said, we'll give it another 12 minutes here, 11, 12 minutes here to see how far they get in recovery operations. And if we decide to wrap things up, then obviously you can go right over to the NASA stream and continue watching. But not going anywhere yet. We're staying here for a little bit longer to see what happens.
That actual operation of getting that SRC bagged and stowed and ready to go on our long line operations for the helicopter will be a rather quick operation. As you see some team members from Lockheed Martin, their role is largely finished for today. They were operating a lot of the flight dynamics of that SRC, getting it to the ground, and now they can really just take a step back and relax, catch their breath after all the chaos of the morning. Very exciting moment for all of them, I'm sure, to actually see their creation sitting on the surface of the Utah Test and Training Range. Just massive, massive sigh of relief. So as I mentioned, that actual recovery of the SRC will be a relatively quick process, but A number of our team members, including Dante Loretta, our principal investigator, might remain out on the site where you see that SRC on your screen now. They're going to continue to collect samples. You can see a number of flags placed around. There's some pink flags placed there. There are 4 placed in front of the SRC where the team believes the SRC is potentially dragged along the surface as it came to a rest on the Utah Test and Training Range desert surface. On the back side of that SRC are 4 additional pink flags, and those are our regions for control sampling. We'll actually go and sample all of these regions and compare back to areas we believe the SRC did not contact. You can see additionally, it's a little bit hard to make out with the bright color of the desert, but there are a couple white flags present at the SRC. And these are areas of operation for the team to actually be able to walk up to the SRC with the carrying fixture, place it next to the SRC, and actually begin to bag and stow our sample return capsule for transport to the Dugway clean room.
Nice.
So
I'm glad they explained there's little things they don't think about, you know, the policies and procedures and how to do this correctly and making sure you don't contaminate things. And there's so many parts of these missions that you just they very easily could gloss over and not discuss. But the fact that they go into detail about which flags means what and why they even put the flags there, that's the type of stuff that interests me. Just thinking about how to, you know, this sample has gone so far and it's been such a long time coming. Just thinking about the extra little steps that they need to take to make sure they get a bunch of accurate data and not contaminate anything and stuff. It's just, I don't know. For some reason that's really interesting to me. There's a word I'm trying to think of that describes these processes, but the word is escaping me. What the heck is it called? That's going to bug me.
Kept us stable during our descent down to the Utah Test and Training Range, and then ultimately, at about 20,000 feet off the deck, we gave the command to deploy our main parachute, that orange creamsicle color parachute that has now actually already been stowed away by our team members here at the Utah Test and Training Range. It's been
logistics. Logistics is the word I was thinking of. All these logistics are crazy.
And you see a view of our mission operations team observing our recovery team that is already out on the landing zone, taking samples, beginning to actually prepare the thermal blanketing, the protective layers for our SRC, and you can see we're documenting this whole process along the way. And so these operations will continue for the next couple minutes, or as long as it takes to safely store that SRC and prepare it for long line operations to get it to the clean room here. We'll continue to take samples, and I will continue to monitor the situation as we proceed here. But for now, back to you, Lauren and Jim.
Thanks, James. And just a reminder to those watching, we are in an extremely remote location. And so if our signal is breaking up, it's because we're out in the middle of nowhere. So we're doing a great job, all things considered.
They need some Starlink.
One other thing that I wanted to address really quickly is that parachute ended up deploying really quickly. Did it not, Jim?
It did. It deployed high, and this is a smart spacecraft. That sample return capsule detected the acceleration rate, and it decided that it was important to get that parachute out to slow her down so we could make this beautiful, safe landing. And that's the way this magical autonomous spaceflight works these days. We adjust to the dynamics of the environment. Again, hats off to the engineers that built those systems in so we could be home safe doing what you can see on your screen now.
With a beautiful landing. All right, Jim, let's actually take some social media questions now. Let's get our first one. All right, at CCSV wants to know, will the sample be quarantined?
I'm going to take a quick
like moon
break
rocks
here,
are?
but the stream
in this case,
will stay going,
based on a
so you don't have to go
classification
anywhere
of what
quite
we call
yet.
the planetary protection, these
So
samples
I'm just
will
going
not
to
be
step off
quarantined
of
in that way.
off
The first
commentary
moon
and
rocks
off
came back, they
camera
were
for
quarantined
just
for
a few
week,
minutes.
out on the carrier and all that
and
kind of
I
good
will
stuff.
check back
Came
with
back to
y'all
Houston
in
again
just
very
a couple
carefully.
minutes.
In this case, we understand the asteroid, the environment. We measured it with OSIRIS-REx, other asteroid samples from our colleagues in Japan, and so we don't have to quarantine them the same way. We do have to protect them, though, from contamination, and there's all kinds of systems in place by our team to allow us to understand the level of contamination. So what we study in science is the pristine asteroid.
That was a great question.
Excellent question.
Excellent question.
Recovery operations. SRC is bagged and secured in the handling fixture.
All right, you just heard that the SRC has been bagged, and we are well on our way to getting that to our clean room here at Dugway. Wow, fantastic news. Missions like OSIRIS-REx transform scientific pursuits into engineering challenges. Smart, curious people with pursue answers with creative verve and perseverance. This year, Hollywood also had a story about a crowd of people situated around the touchdown point of an asteroid. And, well, we couldn't help ourselves. We asked the cast of Asteroid City to say a few words. All right, well, it looks like we are having some technical difficulties, but that's okay. We'll definitely get you that video. It's a really fun one.
It is.
Scarlett Johansson, I mean, A-lister,
Yes.
Can you imagine? All right, so let's get an update from our field correspondent, Sophia. Sophia, do you have an update for us?
Okay, Lauren, turns out the landing site really is just over my shoulder. It is just so hard to see through the alkaline particulate out here on the landing zone. But you know what? This is all in great hands, and we are just very thrilled that the capsule is doing well today. So I'm able to see one of the helicopters just circling over there. But for those of you who have just tuned in, I am on Wig Mountain, which is overlooking the ellipse, which is the vast landing zone. And earlier today, the helicopters, which were shuttling our teams of experts and our scientists, departed from here via helicopter once they found out exactly where the capsule landed. And now they're off on their recovery process and are doing what they do, which has been a carefully rehearsed process. So, Lauren, I'm going to send it back to you.
Great, thank you so much, Sophia. All right, well, let's get back to that awesome video of Asteroid City. You don't want to miss this. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Jason Schwartzman.
I'm Jake Ryan.
And I'm Scarlett Johansson.
Where are you?
Asteroid City, Farm Route 6, mile 75.
Hey everyone, I'm Jeffrey Wright. Junior stargazers and space cadets. Each year we celebrate Asteroid Day.
Hey everyone, I'm Maya Hall.
And I'm Rupert Friend.
And we star in Wes Anderson's new movie, Asteroid City.
In the movie, families from across the country gather in a fictional American desert town for a junior stargazer convention.
I heard there's a real-life reason people will be gathering in the Utah desert this September.
The world will never be the same.
What is happening there on September 24th?
September 24th is going to be a historic day. This is NASA's first asteroid sample return mission and the biggest sample return beyond the moon. Shortly before 9 a.m. local time, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft carrying precious samples of asteroid Bennu will release the capsule into the atmosphere to lower the samples down to the Utah desert, where scientists are anxiously awaiting the return of these materials.
Wow, that sounds like the plot of a science fiction film.
It's incredible that a spacecraft can go to an asteroid,
grab some pieces of it, and then bring them to Earth.
So what will NASA look for within the asteroid sample?
These pristine asteroid materials will be studied by scientists from around the world. We're going to be looking at the minerals. We're going to be dissecting the rocks, looking at it mineral grain by mineral grain to learn more about how the solar system formed and evolved. We're also going to be looking for water to try to understand how our Earth's oceans came to be. And then finally, we're going to be looking at organic compounds, including some of the basic chemical building blocks of life, to try to understand whether asteroids like Bennu could have delivered the building blocks to Earth, leading to the origin of life on Earth and potentially elsewhere. With the data that we obtained from these materials, we're going to be rewriting the textbooks on solar system formation.
Fascinating stuff. But don't fragments of asteroids land on Earth all the time? Why can't we study those pieces instead of a mission to bring this sample to the Earth?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, in fact, the Earth is constantly being bombarded by fragments of asteroids in the form of meteorites. But one of the big problems with studying meteorites is you don't always know where they came from, and it also can be contaminated.
Fair enough. It makes sense that we'd want to study something more pristine.
So how will NASA protect the sample once it's on Earth? And can I have some?
Oh, I wish we could have some of these samples. I wish I could bring one home with me to put on my dresser at home. But the reality is these Samples will only be for educational purposes and scientific research. The samples will be transported to the NASA's Johnson Space Center, where they built a special curation facility just for keeping these samples safe and pristine.
This is also incredible. I'm so glad that NASA has teams of people that are searching for the answers to some of the biggest questions, like where did life and water come from? Where did our solar system come from?
I can't wait to see what we learn from the asteroid sample OSIRIS-REx is bringing to Earth. Thank you for all that you do.
This is also incredible.
Thank you so much for all you do.
Well, you just said that name. You just said OSIRIS-REx. That was the thing.
That was kick-ass.
How did you do that? I was like, what is this phrase?
I was like,
OSIRIS-REx.
OSIRIS-REx.
Yeah, Osiris.
It was great.
OSIRIS-REx.
Wow, talk about that mega wattage star power.
Scarlet,
oh
wow.
my gosh. It takes a huge, talented team with profoundly diverse skills to design and execute something as audacious as OSIRIS-REx. It takes years of planning and perseverance to see it through from that initial notepad doodle to a moment when the world tunes in to celebrate a huge success. It also takes leadership, and I'm...
All right, I am back from a quick little break there. And I'll probably just check in and see how they're doing with this return. It looks like that they already have it bagged up, so that's great. Yeah, I'm just checking in here for a couple minutes, and then I have to go finish setting something up with my other camera that I'm testing. Let's see what we got going on here. Bill is wondering, what is NASA hiding? Well, Bill, it sounds like you probably have an opinion, so why don't you let us know what you think NASA might be hiding?
Joined us, really help us create a vision with other scientists of how you're going to do the engineering that gets you to this moment that we have today.
And Mackenzie, we have leadership across all domains on this mission, from system engineering to science to accounting to everything. How did your team in Maryland pull this thing off?
Yeah, we have people who have managed multiple parts of missions over the decades. Systems engineering is critical, and it's one of the things that Goddard really brings to the table. And systems engineering means that we take...
So I think the next step is for them to really just get this thing up off the ground and into the carrier, so they can carry it safely to its temporary holding spot before the samples are processed. Making good progress here. Those teams are making really good progress for today's mission. So I have no criticism for how this mission went. I know they were mentioning that the chutes seemed to open early, but the decision to open the chutes early were based off of data from the spacecraft, and it autonomously decided that that was the best time to open the chutes, and it sounds like the teams are happy with that. The capsule was not breached. Obviously, just the fact that it got a sample. First of all, the launch went well. That's becoming more and more run-of-the-mill now. Space is still not easy, but we're seeing a lot of more successful launches nowadays, at least with these, well-seasoned launch providers. But launch is still a risk. So launch went well. Maneuvering to the asteroid, that went well. That's huge. Actually touching the asteroid to get the sample, massive. And then getting back away from the asteroid, getting back to Earth, deploying the sample into our atmosphere, successfully re-entering, having no issues with the chutes, landing, not breaching the capsule. All of that had to go perfect, and it seems like it has. So that's actually insanely impressive. But I'm not surprised. They keep nailing these missions back to back. So that's just really amazing. So I guess let's tune back in. I'll keep working on the camera testing that I'm doing outside. I'm checking out that new solar filter that I got, and I'm going to post that to my X account after I get some footage. So I'll go do that. I'll leave you with the stream again here for a few minutes.
Boy, it's really hard not to get a little emotional when you see all those faces. These are a lot of the people that we've been seeing over the last few days, and they're getting their time in the sun. All right, let's throw it over to James for an operational update. Take it away, James.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. So while we've been kind of waiting for the past couple of minutes here, the team has actually successfully bagged and prepared the sample return capsule for the long line operations. You can see on your screen right now, the SRC is bagged within thermal blanketing, and that metal thing you see on the bottom is the carrying fixture. This will then be actually loaded up into cargo netting and prepared for long line operations. One of our helicopters will take flight, carrying the SRC dangling beneath it. The SRC is going to be stabilized with that cargo netting. There is a gimbal that will keep it stable as we begin the flight to the clean room with our precious cargo on board. You'll notice a couple of tape markers on that SRC as well, the thermal blanketing there. Those are pieces of Kapton tape marking exactly where vents are on that SRC for team members here at the clean room, who will once again do gas and thermal readings once it arrives at the clean room. Just once again making sure team members are safe and secure as we begin to continue those recovery operations, getting the SRC into the clean room. And this is one of the last phases of the process of getting our SRC back and then opening it up, finally seeing that sample canister within and preparing that for shipment tomorrow on a C-17 cargo plane to the Johnson Space Center's sample curation facility. And this was a very quick process. I mean, if you're keeping time at home, this was only maybe about 20 minutes that they took to get out there once they arrived and wrap everything up really quickly once they were given the official confirmation to approach, get everything stored, prepared for those long line operations. This really has become second nature for these team members. They really are able to bag and prepare this SRC. And you'll see still quite a few flags around that area there. Once this SRC is flown away from the region, the landing zone, team members from the curation team will remain on site and continue to take samples of that surrounding area. They also have set up off screen here, you can't see it, but there is a air reading that they're going to be taking actual air samples of the area, atmospheric samples. All of this will be cross-correlated with samples that we actually get back from the asteroid Bennu to make sure that nothing from Earth here at the LZ or beyond got into that sample return capsule. And you can see some of those team members who are going to be taking those samples once again approaching the location. Dante Loretta is front and center with them. He has that armband on, and on his left arm you can see it there as he's carrying his bucket that has all of his tools that he needs to begin collecting these samples. It's a very tight procedure that they have to go through to make sure that they are properly taking these samples. You can see they are photographing the area first, documenting exactly where they are collecting the sample from. They then have a small metal scooper that they'll use to actually dig into the desert surface. It's a bit of a soft surface out there today. As I mentioned, we did have some rain that softened it up, so it should be easy to dig in there, grab a bit of sample, and then they will bag that sample, seal it up, and then send that off to the sample curation team at the Johnson Space Center. Admiring the region as well. It's a beautiful, clear morning there today. We've been rehearsing in a variety of different conditions, including in the middle of the summer where temperatures were over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, much cooler conditions. You can see our team members wearing their UV shirts today. A much chillier morning for them as they are doing these recovery operations. And this process does take some time as they go through and collect these samples. They want to make sure that they are accurately documenting exactly what's present at this landing zone for the team members who are at the sample curation facility of the Johnson Space Center. We're getting a great aerial view from our NASA helicopter. They've been doing a phenomenal job all morning tracking the action for us, and we don't give them enough credit. We've been training, obviously, all of the science and
recovery
engineering
operations. The recovery team is moving the SRC to Helicopter 1 and preparing for long-line operations.
And there we have it. We are going to be moving towards those long-line operations. The rest of the team members approaching that SRC that has been successfully bagged and prepared to be loaded into the helicopter's long line. This will be the last time the SRC takes flight. We had a wild flight this morning. You can see two team members lifting that SRC up. It's about 120 pounds total once you have the SRC and the carrying fixture there together. They're going to be walking this over, preparing it for cargo netting, and getting that attached to the long line for helicopter operation.
All right, as you can see, though, they're actually carrying it. I did not expect that's what would be happening here. They are carrying the sample return capsule, and it sounds like they're going to go hook it up to the helicopter. Is that what I heard correctly? That's really interesting. That's that's not exactly how I expected this to go. Pretty cool though. The fact that it's light enough for a couple folks to carry it, and was able to successfully re-enter Earth's atmosphere and do it so safely. Very, very cool.
Just like the science and engineering teams have been preparing for this key moment, our NASA helicopter pilots have also been preparing to cover today's events. They're typically down at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, capturing launch coverage from Cape Canaveral. But this past couple months, they've been out here with us at the Utah Test and Training Range, preparing to document today's events, getting incredible footage for us all along the way. You can see those team members have a bit of a hike to carry it to where it is safe operationally. And you can see we have the cargo netting already laid out there. Our representative from Dugway, Jasmine Nakayama, is prepared with that cargo netting. She's going to help the team here get that SRC that has already been successfully bagged up with thermal wrapping into that cargo netting. And you can see the helicopter already there, staged and ready to lift off. The helicopter pilot has actually removed one of the doors on that helicopter so he can lean out and look down as he carefully lifts the SRC off the terrain. We want to make sure that this is a careful, slow process as we safely transport this SRC to the Dugway clean room. And you can see Jasmine is picking up pieces of the cargo netting and beginning to wrap the SRC that has been placed already on the carrying fixture with the thermal blanketing. Team members observing their handiwork of getting that carefully wrapped up. We'll then actually unwrap all of that thermal blanketing once we actually get it into the clean room here.
Recovery operations, SRCs in the cargo net, and all the gear has been stowed in the helicopter.
Great news, everything sounds nominal for helicopter operations, and in just a few moments we should have liftoff of that SRC aboard the helicopter with that long line attached. Team members clearing the area to make sure that we can safely take off with our helicopter. These helicopter pilots have also been training in tandem with all the team members the past couple months leading up to this key moment. We've practiced these long line operations, we've practiced the flight back to the Dugway clean room, but obviously nothing compares to the real deal. I'm sure they are feeling the excitement, they are feeling the nerves as they know how precious their cargo is this morning.
Turn down their volume a little bit while I'm talking. I have assumed that they're going to end up closing up their stream after this helicopter kind of takes the sample and goes away with it. As you can see, the helicopter has started. We are seeing its propeller start up, and I would expect to see this thing lifted off here in the next couple of minutes. So very, very interesting and cool way of doing this.
Is holding in her hand right now is that gimbal stabilizer for the cargo netting. That will ensure that the SRC is not wildly spinning as we get to altitude with our helicopter. These helicopters can get upwards of over 100 miles an hour speed, but we're going to go nowhere close to that today. We're going to be taking this at a slow pace, making sure that SRC can get back safely and securely to our Dugway clean room. You can see one of our NASA photographers, Keegan Barber, taking some great pictures. I'm sure those will be phenomenal views of the operations that are going on just across the way from us at the Utah Test and Training Range. As soon as these rotors get up to speed, our helicopter will get off the ground. The terrain is a little bit soft today. Team members were out here yesterday testing out the grounds and had practiced actually landing with some of the helicopters. Those skids on the helicopters got about an inch into the wet terrain. It's presumably dried a lot more today. It's the sunny, clear skies have probably helped us out a bit, so it should be an easy liftoff for this helicopter to get into the air and help transport that SRC to the clean room. Off-screen, team members are presumably continuing to collect samples of the surrounding area, both environmental, soil samples, atmospheric samples. We'll be continuing to do those operations even as we bring this SRC to our clean room. Just a great view here from our NASA helicopter. And in just a few moments, we should have a stunning view of our SRC lifting off the ground. No part of this SRC comes in contact with the helicopter. As I said, it's been safely stored in that thermal blanketing. There's multiple layers of that blanketing, as well as a tarp being placed over it. Now, it is also in that cargo netting, thanks to our Dugway representative, Jasmine Nakayama. She's then attached this whole contraption to a long line that will dangle about 100 feet below the helicopter. And I can see a lot of dust kicking up now. The engine's really revving up on that helicopter, and it is off the desert terrain in the air with the SRC in tow.
There it goes.
Recovery operations. Helicopter 1 is cleared to depart the recovery site with the SRC.
And we have clearance to depart the recovery site. This is a key moment of those recovery operations. We're already getting that SRC out of the landing zone and on its way to the Dugway clean room. In just a few moments, that SRC with the long line attached will be lifting off its landing zone.
Oh, I need to get rid of those.
Jasmine assisting with that final part of the lift, and it is now airborne.
There it goes.
As I mentioned, a much
OSIRIS,
more relaxing flight for our SRC
Bennu's
on its last
sample
leg of its journey.
Has been flying.
We are officially departing that landing zone
for 7 years. It
Recovery
finally
operations
landed.
will continue out,
and now it's
at
in the air
Dugway
again.
clean room. I see
But not
team
for
members
very
waving
long.
goodbye.
I'm going to shut off my camera just for this beautiful view here that we can see. Look at that.
And look at that view. This is a
Right.
stunning view of our helicopter. This is a long journey ahead. As I mentioned, probably about 20 minutes of total flight time. We may lose signal as we head out there a bit, but for now we have a stunning view of our helicopter carrying the SRC below, and you can see that stabilizer is helping.
We'll stick with you for just a couple minutes here, and then we're going to wrap things up. While we have this view, we can start our wrap-up process here. So welcome in everybody if you joined after my official introduction to the stream earlier here today. My name is Andrew, and this is Rocket Future. We try to cover everything that is most exciting about mostly human spaceflight and rocketry, but a lot of times other things that have to do with space as well. OSIRIS-REx mission is a mission that has been very, very interesting to me. I've been following it since before it launched, and this was an exciting day to watch the sample get successfully and safely returned to the surface of the Earth here. So it's well on its way. Absolutely amazing stuff. I appreciate everybody stopping in here. Generally speaking, we do Starbase and Starship streams. At least that's what we've been doing lately, because that's what's most exciting in space right now, according to me, in my opinion. Super interesting stuff. But this Rocket Future channel is not just for Starbase and Starship. We want to cover all launch providers, and we want to cover NASA missions and all sorts of stuff. So this morning was a little bit relaxing and just chill type of stream. Wasn't anything super official. Just wanted to get here and share this experience with y'all. So thanks for hanging out here. Huge shout out to T. Evans for the 2 memberships. Very much appreciate that. Stan Carmack says, looks like the helicopter burns gas. It probably, I'm not sure what standard, that type of helicopter really burns, what kind of fuel that is. T. Evans says, have a good day. Appreciate the coverage. Absolutely. My pleasure. Glad to be here, and glad y'all are here as well. So, yeah, stay tuned for next stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Probably Starbase stream this upcoming week at some point. I'm going to try to get out there, and we'll just give you an overview of what's new at Starbase. And if we've heard any updates about the Fish and Wildlife Assessment or the FAA processes prior to issuing the next launch license, we'll update with you about that. But we'll go take a look at Ship 25, which is next to Booster 9, no longer on top of Booster 9, and we'll see what's going on at the pad and do all that stuff. So hopefully that will come through this week. Hopefully we'll do that stream this week. We're October 14th, big stream here on the channel for the annular solar eclipse. I'm testing all my equipment for that right now, and making sure our new lens filters and everything's are working, and it seems like everything is great. So that's about it for now. Yeah, if you want to keep watching the stream, I don't know how much longer the NASA stream is going to go. But I can link that in chat If you want to switch to this NASA stream for however longer they are streaming, please feel free to go and click that link. We were able to provide you this footage today and everything from NASA. This is all from NASA. So thank you very much. That's it. See you next time, everybody. Appreciate you very much. And I'll see you next stream.
Out of the huge effort to visit the object in the first place. Mission planners considered many destinations but settled on Bennu. Let's learn more about why. First, as a near-Earth asteroid, Bennu is easy to reach. It takes about 14 months to orbit the Sun and comes close to Earth once every 6 years. To get there, OSIRIS-REx was launched in 2016 on an Atlas V rocket with a single booster and a Centaur upper stage.